He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, the veneer of invincibility is gone from the San Francisco 49ers. Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. New morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. I'm just going to keep saying we're the new morning show, even when we're like 6, 7, 8 months in.
That's like, how long can you say happy holidays?
Just forever. Almost happy Halloween. We'll get to all that stuff at another time. But the 49ers, Perloff, 3 in a row. They're now sitting behind the Seattle Seahawks for second place in their own division, the NFC West. 2 games behind your Philadelphia Eagles. This is the 3rd game in a row where they failed to score more than 17 points. Credit to the Bengals, who have clearly turned a corner. They were coming out of a bye. They had a great game plan against the 49ers, but this looks very different from the 5-0 start that we saw earlier this year.
Yes, but they are still heavy favorites to win the NFC, and they're second in the entire odds for the Super Bowl. And I would make that bet. Because tell me who's better in the NFC. Once they get Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel back, they've been actually moving the ball very, very well. The problem has been, in my opinion, not Brock Purdy, the quarterback, but the defense has let everyone down. That defense, once they figure out what they're doing, is going to be elite again. I still think they're the best team in the NFC. I know that sounds weird coming off a 3-game losing streak with the Eagles only having 1 loss, but the Eagles are completely flawed. I feel like when you put it all together, the Niners still have probably the best overall team in the conference.
I'm not willing to go there. I think the Eagles would get the nod for me because they've won games a lot of different ways. Like, they've won dogfight games. They've won games where Jalen Hurts hasn't looked great. Jalen Hurts, by the way, limping around a little bit yesterday. That's
a big concern.
I mean, a lot of quarterbacks got banged up yesterday. We'll talk more about that later. But I don't think the 49ers have shown they're winning and losing, like, They're capable of winning games even when things aren't perfect. You had 2 late interceptions from Purdy again yesterday. Kyle Shanahan said one of those interceptions was actually supposed to be a handoff that Purdy ended up not handing the ball off. That was a mistake. Then he ends up outside the pocket kind of scrambling. He ends up throwing a pick. Here's where I'd be worried about the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, they've got all the talent in the world. They'll get Trent Williams and Deebo back probably soon. My worry is, did they peak? You know, when the 49ers have had issues in the last couple of years and still made it to the NFC Championship game or still made it to the Super Bowl, it was because they were kind of middle of the pack and then at the end of the season really took off.
Right.
This is the opposite. They took off right out of the gate. And now they know what this is. Like, we've already seen the best that the 49ers can possibly play. They looked absolutely unbeatable peaking in that Cowboy game. And now it looks different. And you're not getting big pieces back on the defense, and you're not playing a bunch of cupcakes coming up the rest of the schedule. Their next 7 opponents, only 2 have a losing record right now. So this is not going to get easier. This is the difference this year. It's not like they're going to start peaking at the right time at the end of the year. They may have already peaked.
Yeah, but I mean, how do we know they're not going to go on that late season run like they did last year? Once they get everyone healthy. That's what happened last year. Everyone came back. I mean, Deebo Samuel, the absence is incredible. Because they can't control the ball. His running, just as a running back, him getting first downs.
Yep.
Honestly, I understand what you're saying, but this defense can't be that bad. I understand D'Amico Ryans is gone, and Steve Wilkes has been pretty bad. But I think the coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan is now going to turn his attention to this defense. Like, they have to fix this because the personnel is too good to be this vulnerable. It just can't last like this. They have Nick Bosa, they have Fred Warner, they're paying guys all over that defense. It just can't be this bad. I'm sorry, you can't convince me that the Niners are going to get torched in the first quarter of every single game moving forward.
Okay, well, they're playing a good quarterback. They're at home. Can't blame the weather on this one like you could have in Cleveland. You can't blame the fact that you're on the road to Minnesota. If that was going to be a tough place to play, you were home. The conditions were perfect. I know Purdy was coming off the concussion, but that's on the team whether or not they're going to play him, and they probably shouldn't have, just like for his future overall health. That's not really our call. You know, the public, we screamed about this with Tua, when he was concussed and he was kind of staggering around. Purdy was not staggering around, but yesterday did take another big hit where he put his hands up to the helmet immediately. We know enough now to know that could be a sign of a concussion.
Is it possible that we're focused on San Francisco in this situation? They went against a desperate Cincinnati team with arguably the first or second best quarterback in the league. Maybe Joe Burrow was just that good.
Joe Burrow was excellent. He has no signs of the calf injury anymore. So just like, congratulations, science. You fixed it with Joe Burrow. He looks amazing. But here's the question about the 49ers. That's the thing. You're going to face good quarterbacks.
You're not really in the NFC, though.
When it gets to playoff time, you are. You don't think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback?
I think Jalen Hurts is very good, but I think Hurts is banged up, and I think the Eagles are going to have serious matchup problems against the Niners. The Eagles have defensive problems.
Okay.
The Eagles' defense is falling apart slowly. So I think that's why Vegas doesn't like the Eagles. Their quarterbacks are about 47 years old. I think the Niners are much more. If you put a healthy Niners team and a healthy Eagles team on a neutral field, I just think all that talent on San Francisco would probably be the decisive factor.
Okay, well, they're giving up 400 yards of offense, whether it's, Joe Burrow or whether it's, PJ Walker. So I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't really 400 against PJ, but you know what I mean? They've played against bad quarterbacks. They've kind of played against bad, middle, and good. PJ Walker as the backup. They played against
Kirk Cousins
as kind of the middle, and then Joe Burrow as one of the best.
I'm not sure I'd put Kirk Cousins in the middle anymore. He was kind of having an MVP-like season, but
you know what I'm saying. I think people put him like as a middle of the top 10-ish quarterback. No one's saying that he's number 1 or 2 in the league. And now you've seen them lose in every way to all different types of quarterbacks.
Okay, if they hit a field goal against Cleveland in the rain, they win that game. Honestly, their biggest vulnerability is right there. Their field goal kicker is not good. I bet against the Niners all you want. I really want to revisit this discussion in Week 17. They do have Nick Bosa and they do have Fred Warner. These guys are going to figure this out.
Where was Bosa yesterday?
Well, he had a huge play Bosa was on fire in the second half. He was pressuring all over the place, and they got back into it. Then Joe Burrow, I don't even know how, it just started moving his legs and getting first downs. I think that we saw a little bit of an aberration to this Niners defense yesterday. I think this was Joe Burrow desperate for a win. They know they could not have lost this game, so you really had a completely fired up Cincinnati team. And here's the problem.
Shouldn't the 49ers have been desperate?
No, what difference does this game make?
They just lost 2 straight, and now they're at home, and they should have been equally as desperate. I
don't think they're in as dire a situation. I think they're in the NFC, Maggie. They're not going to need to be 11 wins to even get in the playoffs. They could be 10-7 and make the Super Bowl like they did 2 years ago. I'm sorry, they made the NFC title game at 10-7. They're fine. They just have to relax. Nobody's going to panic. They said they don't want to make a trade. I think they desperately need to make one trade like they did last year. Remember what happened last year? We weren't even talking about the Niners. They add McCaffrey, and all of a sudden, boom, it all comes together.
Well, that was a blockbuster trade. I mean,
I do another one right now.
For who?
So I'd get a high-end defensive player on the back 4. I don't know who's around.
Where is this magical trade?
The Eagles got Byard, so the Niners have to do their version of that. Although Byard, I didn't even notice he was out there. So I think that they have to make one trade here because they feel a little thin. They're obviously injury prone. Actually, the funny thing is, I'm not worried about the offense. If you told me coming in the year that Brock Purdy was going to have elite stats, how much quarterback play do you need out of this Niners team to win games? Okay,
well, he has good stats, but the interceptions have become a thing. It's been 5 interceptions right in the last 3 games, and those are coming at terrible times. They're coming late in the game where it's really been costly. And then the other part is, why do you think Brock Purdy had all this green grass in front of him yesterday? I mean, I think that the Bengals were fine with Brock Purdy using his legs. He can scramble a little bit, kept alive some drives, no doubt. First of all, he has to learn how to slide. He can't be going head first, and diving for some of these first downs. He's got to learn that if he wants to stay healthy. I think they were fine with letting Purdy run. They just don't want McCaffrey running and Mostert running, but they'll let Purdy run.
Well, here's the problem. They scored on the first drive. They dominated offensively in the first half, so the Niners were behind. Purdy did throw for 365 yards against a Lou Anarumo defense. Mm-hmm. That was pretty incredible.
Put up 17 points, though.
I do give Purdy a little credit. After the bad interception when he was in the red zone, and that was an incredible play by Jermaine Pratt to tap that ball. It would have been it should have been a touchdown. Then Purdy came back and led a touchdown drive against a pretty good Cincinnati. I was surprised that I would have crumbled a little bit. He showed me a lot. You don't need to be Patrick Mahomes to win with this team. They're designed to have a game manager, but you can't manage a game when the other quarterback is 21 for 23 in the first half. I mean, Joe Burrow did whatever he wanted against San Francisco.
Listen, there's another part of the San Francisco team, and this is the defensive part of it, that I think we're all seeing and having trouble kind of just putting our finger on what it is, which is this defense in the first 5 games was punishing. like to the point where you were worried about the next week. Like, would your team be able to recover enough after playing the 49ers to be able to go on and continue with the rest of your season? We're not really seeing those types of punishing hits, that type of invincibility, this sort of, boogeyman aspect of this 49ers defense just has not really been there over the last 3 games. I think it's giving teams a feeling like, listen, we can compete with them. They're not laying us out in ways that it looked like in the first 5 games.
Totally. Is it the defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, who got in a lot of trouble for that bad call at the end of the Vikings? The first half, he called it an all-out blitz, cost him a touchdown, probably cost him the game. D'Amico Ryans looks amazing in Houston. Houston, with no players, their defense looks great. So I wonder if that coaching downgrade has hurt them a lot. Also, everyone's figured out you go after Travarius Ward and you stay away from Lenore. So I think people got tape on that.
Think about it. This is Joe Burrow. I mean, he looks amazing now, but he is still dealing with this calf injury, presumably. Yeah. No fear. No fear yesterday from Joe Burrow, right? Yeah. There was no fear that he was going to get knocked out of the game, that he was going to get crushed, any of that. And I think this defense is just they can find it again. I agree with Shanahan. They've got the pieces there who can do it. But for now, they had it and they lost it.
Cousins,
so can they find it again?
Kirk Cousins didn't get sacked once last week. Yeah, right. They had 0 sacks.
Let's hear from Shanahan, can we? Can we hear cut 2, please, Pete? Says the Niners, they played poorly. Easy for me to say. Too many key penalties.
We didn't play well. That team beat us straight up. We talked about tackling better, talked about having less penalties, and I think we only had 5, but in comparison to them, I think it was 1. And we had some ones in some crucial situations that gave first downs.
He's right. So 1 penalty for 15 yards for the Bengals, 5 for 54 for the 49ers. Again, on a normal day, 5 penalties, not even anything to talk about. But when it does keep drives alive and it keeps your defense on the field, that stinks.
I think that 1 penalty, the game was over, too. I don't think that was it didn't really hurt the Bengals. The Bengals played a perfect game.
4 for 5 in the red zone.
Okay, I am still high on this Niners team. And I will, until they are mathematically eliminated, that's the one team I don't want to see in the playoffs if I'm in the NFC.
I'm a bit worried just because they, again, had it and lost it. How do you get it back? And Purdy is playing well.
Well,
I'll tell you, like Jimmy G, though. Okay,
yeah,
we've seen this one.
That'll work. That'll get you to where you need to go.
But they never won? I get it. They're consistently there, and they deserve all the credit for being a consistent in the mix in the NFC Championship game, in the Super Bowl that one time against the Chiefs. They deserve credit for that, for being a consistent team. But they didn't win yet, and you kind of treat them like they are multiple Super Bowl winners.
I think that we've raised the bar on Brock Purdy to a very weird level.
I'm talking about the 49ers.
Yeah, I know. Or
Brock.
Jimmy G. Honestly, they've never had this kind of play at quarterback. Brock Purdy's honestly better than Jimmy G ever was. Even yesterday, Brock Purdy made some plays. He looked like Patrick Mahomes on that one play. He scrambled out of 3 sacks and hit George Kittle for a 30-yard gain. He has made some plays. The problem with the Niners is they're built to win from ahead.
Yeah.
So they need, in the playoffs, they can't fall behind against the Eagles and have their quarterback hurt. All the problems are that they're letting up defensive drives in the first half. They're just once Nick Bosa gets a lead, he can close out the quarterback. And I think in the playoffs, you got to watch out for that. I think that discounting them would be silly because they've been very, very good in the playoffs.
So they have been very good in the playoffs. But anytime you have a team that's built to that is not what you want. You want a team that's built to win any which way. Now, listen, you get down 3 scores, it's going to be hard to do or whatever. But when it's a team built to play with a lead, I get what you're saying because they have great defense and they can run the ball. So you are built to play with a lead. But when you are down 2 scores, can you come back and win the game? What
Definitely,
have we seen?
No way.
Exactly. So that makes you vulnerable. That means you're not the unstoppable
Here's
force.
what all you can ask for in the NFL is that you have a shot every year. And they've been to 3 out of the last 4 NFC title games. I think this idea that in today's NFL, you're going to be so dominant and not have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, it's just not going to happen. I think that they give themselves a chance to win every year, and they're built that way. And I would give John Lynch, the GM, credit. At least they're in this mix.
Yeah, I just think they're not above reproach. Like, yes, they've been good and they've had success, but they're not immune from what other teams go through. And they're not smarter than the average team. I don't think that they are like light years ahead, as another team in the Bay Area, the Warriors owner would say. Like, they go through the struggles just like everyone else. They miss on top quarterbacks just like everybody else. Like, I don't think that they can just float by and skate by, and we're supposed to not pay attention when they lose 3 straight, including the last one yesterday at home. So to me, I think it's definitely time to look in the mirror for the 49ers. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. That's just one of the games that happened yesterday. No teams on buys, so everybody, it felt like there were 100 games going on yesterday.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I didn't love the NFL schedule making yesterday.
Cowboys at 1 o'clock? You didn't like the early Cowboys?
I didn't really care about that. I just thought they had the wrong night game, obviously. I don't know why they had the Chargers-Bears. There was sort of an odd flow to the games. And I thought 2 of the better games, the Chiefs-Broncos and the Niners-Bengals, were against each other.
Yep.
So those are really the 2 best games of the day. For me, are most interesting. I just didn't like the whole flow. The 1 o'clock games all got lost on each other.
We will parse it all out, though, for you. 855-212-4CBS. But we start with the 49ers. Are you worried now after 3 straight losses and the defense has been giving up 400 yards a game? The offense can't score more than 17 points and they're losing skid. What do you think could be wrong? Or you like Perloff? You think everything's fine? Don't worry about it. 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, we got a major quarterback injury. We'll tell you what the ripple effect will be. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
What was the good game?
Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Breaking down an NFL Sunday here. All right, Maggie, you are very proud of a trivia question you got here. Hit us with it.
Well, I just don't think anyone's going to get this. If I give you one guess, who is the one team in the NFL that has topped 20 points in every single game they've played this season?
Ooh, I mean, my answer before yesterday would have been the Chiefs.
Or Miami, right?
Or Miami, right. It obviously is not those teams because you would not ask it that way if it was those teams.
Well,
you say top 20 points. You mean
have scored at least 20 points in every single one of their games. Has scored at least 20 points in all 8 of their games. I'm telling you, you're not going to get it. Because they're on a backup quarterback right now. Granted, it's a high-end backup. All right,
not the Eagles?
It's not the Eagles, according to this. It's the Colts.
Hey, there you go.
EJ coming through. It's the Colts. They have scored at least 20 points in every game this season, even in losses. And this team is 3-5. They lost to the Saints yesterday, but that was one of the games that did get buried. Unfortunately, quarterback injuries was one of the big storylines yesterday, with 5 different starting quarterbacks having to leave the game. But Perloff, the most devastating of the injuries appears to be Kirk Cousins, who has a right Achilles tear. It's the second Achilles tear we've seen now with an older quarterback after Aaron Rodgers earlier this season. That's it for Kirk Cousins for the year.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yesterday was a Kirk Cousins appreciation day, too, because he's been playing incredibly well, arguably his best season as a pro. They have this easy schedule coming up. They're now 4-4. The Vikings were set to coast into the playoffs after the terrible start. It was a great story. I think a lot of people, too, liked him more because of that documentary on Netflix, Quarterback. I've heard a lot of sadness yesterday about Kirk Cousins going down. Guy's never missed a game because of injury his entire career. Unexpected. The other question is, all of a sudden we're getting these Achilles tears. Is there something with the turf? It's sort of a synthetic, weird combo grass at Lambeau. I'm not sure what's happening here, but this stinks. I was so bummed about this. I
mean, it definitely stinks because you felt like the Vikings were just about to turn the corner. They had just had that big win over the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins in prime time. He sliced and diced the 49ers defense and looked great, and then they're winning the game handily in Lambeau. I mean, the Packers have issues big time.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers always come back in the second half, but they actually couldn't come back yesterday.
Couldn't come back, and then Cousins now is gone. What I was actually a little more surprised about, the Vikings backup quarterback situation is dreadful because Nick Mullins is on IR because he has a back injury, he can't come back for a while. You've got like Sean Mannion on the practice squad, and you had Jaron Hall yesterday. I mean, this is tough. This is not a backup who can keep the ship afloat.
No. So we have Tuesday's a trade deadline. Who do they go for? I hope they go for somebody. First of all, I love Jaron Hall out of BYU. But that being said, obviously a developmental quarterback. Some interesting
Who's available? Cousins was the only guy on the trade block who might have been worth anything because we thought he was going somewhere else.
So everyone's saying Ryan Tannehill.
He's hurt.
But the other name that came up, and everybody, Case Keenum is getting a lot of love. Come back to Minnesota. He's stuck on the bench in Houston. My guy, that would be a fitting sort of poetic comeback if Case could come back for a Vikings team that is on the verge of the playoffs. They need to add a veteran. I mean, clearly, Sean Mannion and Jaron Hall are not going to get it done. Kyler Murray's the other name that's come up a lot.
Well, that would be the big swing because now you basically are saying to yourself, we think we're too good to get a top quarterback in the draft next year. And we think that Kyler, maybe they scouted him a lot when he was coming out of college. I don't know.
Well, Kyler needs a lot. He needs to run way back to see over the line. Yeah. So I think this is a quick passing offense. I'm not sure he fits exactly what they're looking for. Also,
it's a major decision to make in like the span of 48 hours. Like unless you've really been thinking about it before this, that would be like a real trigger, like hairpin move to, Cousins goes down and all of a sudden you bring in $100 million quarterback 2 days later. That's a big move. I don't think teams do that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. You have to have meeting after meeting to do something like that.
How many emails have to be about Kyler Murray? Don't you need medicals? You need to be talking to him. Like,
also, does Kyler
that homework clause thing? I need to know more about that.
Is Kyler Murray coming off an injury? Do you feel so secure that he's going to be a playoff quarterback?
Yeah, he's coming off an ACL. Is a guy who needs to be able to juke and run and have that type of mobility. There's no way Kyler's getting moved.
You also need
the deadline.
And you need to fashion an offense around him. That's not happening.
No. Yes, EJ.
I think that the Viking situation is really bizarre. I think Case Keenum would be interesting.
Yeah.
The thing about Kyler Murray, when we talk about offense and fit, is Minnesota really the kind of offense that he would fit with?
Certainly not.
I don't think so.
But I don't think any offense fits him, to be honest.
Well, you got Addison, you got Hawkinson. You got a couple weapons there on the offense.
I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy. I just think this is terrible. He's so short. It just causes problems whenever he's playing. It causes problems for Cardinals. So you really got to tailor everything around to make sure his passing lanes. And there are very few teams who could do that.
Let's hit the phones, 855-212-4CBS. So Kirk Cousins out for the year with an Achilles. Angel is in Kentucky, is a 49ers fan. They've lost 3 in a row. I'm concerned. Angel, are you concerned?
To 2-6 with some crazy events.
We've been there before. The same thing happened last year. Obviously, there's a little bit of a concern, but I think we'll be all right. Like the coach said, we got the players and stuff. They just need to work on the secondary. I believe that they having a hard time stopping the passing game.
Yep.
Especially with Ward on that side. He always seems to.
He's always in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And they give too much room on that end. But as far as anything, maybe tighten up the defense, spread him out a little bit. But I think we'll be all right. I'm not too worried about it.
Angel, I'm glad you're not worried about it. And you would say, listen, I've seen this before, right? As Angel just said, it's not a perfect team. But generally, they were working out kinks in the early part of the season and then started peaking late. This is the opposite for the 49ers this year. 5-0 to start the season, looked like they couldn't be beat at all 3 phases. I'm a little worried when you have it and then you lose it, how easy is it to get it back? We haven't seen the 49ers in this particular situation yet.
Yeah, I know Kyle Shanahan said no trade. I really want to, it'd be really interesting. What if they added a pass rusher? Just be like, you know what? Bosa's not getting home for some reason right now. Why don't we just pay another guy and try and stop Montez Sweat and Nick Bosa? They need to dominate on defense. It's not happening. I wouldn't count them out.
Little strength on strength. Lee is in San Diego, has a thought on the AFC. Good morning, Lee.
Hey, how you doing?
Fantastic. What's up?
Hey, I wanted to talk about the AFC. Basically, it's wide open.
Yeah.
The Chiefs just lost to probably the worst team in the AFC, I think. and the Bills lost to the Vikings in a heartbreaker. I can feel that because I'm a Chargers fan.
Wait. The Bills lost to the Vikings last year.
No, they just lost to them today.
The Bills? The Bills lost to the Patriots 2 weeks ago. They're coming off a win over the Bucs. Lee, it's 2023. Maybe sometimes you got to tell people what year it is. I know time's odd for me, especially with this new schedule.
That Justin Jefferson catch for the Vikings, that hurt.
I don't want to relive that one.
Well,
for
really Lee,
painful.
it feels like it was today.
Listen,
not just even Monday, Sunday. It was this morning.
I know. I think it was last. It was, maybe Lee's been asleep for a year.
Did I miss a Bills Vikings game on Sunday? Maybe YouTube was having some problems with Sunday Ticket. Maybe I missed that one.
It was glitchy yesterday. I believe that was last year, week 8. It was last year, week 8.
No, it was today, Maggie. Wake up.
Jeez, I know. It's spooky season. It's Halloween tomorrow. Up is down.
Actually, Lee did say something interesting. Are the Broncos the worst team in the AFC? And I actually had to think about that for a second.
Lee with an all-time great question, but can't get the year right. Forgivable. Listen, there's a lot of reasons. Maybe he's a new parent. I don't know. Sean McVay certainly looked out of it yesterday. He just had a kid.
Who's worse? That's a great question. Who's worse than the Broncos? Lee is dead on. Maybe the Patriots.
Patriots technically are worse in terms of like they're the bottom of the conference.
But considering personnel, I might vote for Broncos.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots should suck as much as they do. The Broncos should be a tiny bit better than they are.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this will turn them around and they can get other quarterbacks with flus to play against or something.
Start planting the flu and people.
I mean, listen, if the Vikings can beat the Bills on a Monday morning, anything can happen in this NFL.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, honestly. Anyone can win in the AFC. Good morning, Andrew. Bogish is here with some headlines, and I love your T-shirt.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for noticing. This is my ode to Corbin Carroll. One more anti-Philly, pro-Diamondbacks push here.
Who?
If you break a 1-1. He's one of the better players on the Diamondbacks.
His
name is Corbin Carroll?
Yeah.
Series.
Yeah, he's in the World Series right now. Playing really well.
It looks like he's the lost member of the Grateful Dead with that shirt. It's got the skeleton.
It's a piece of art. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. But yeah, I think there's a little, southwestern Mexican feel to it as well. The hair. Yeah. Let's go.
I told you guys I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks because if
they don't want
win
you
if they win the World Series, that means the Phillies are in second place.
No, that's not how that
That's how it's associated property. That's math. That's math, EJ.
No, you're a fraudulent fan there. You gotta hate the Arizona Diamondbacks. They went into your building, your hallowed ground that is Citizens Bank, this scary place to play,
right?
And they went up and they smacked up the Phillies 2 games. Like you should be wearing that, saying that team cannot prosper while watching baseball.
No, but we lost to Merrill Kelly, the greatest pitcher in the history of baseball.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
listen.
what you tell your grandkids.
Yeah, you lose to the 27 Yankees. The Red Sox had a good team in 27, but they're fine. Like we lost to Merrill Kelly, who's the new Nolan Ryan. So there you go.
Red Sox fans definitely wore that well. For 84 years, where they were just like, oh no, Yankees, we're fine with them.
Come on, they put the Fanatics' head in a vat of acid. Come on, let's go.
What does it do for me if the Rangers win this World Series? That means that the Diamondbacks were really a crappy 84-win team that beat the Phillies.
Right, more misery. That's what we want.
Bogish, what do you have?
I got headlines, all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. So Pete's here this morning. If only the Chargers could play the Bears every week.
Herbert lifts his right leg, takes the shotgun snap, back to pass, looking, fires right side, caught by Parham, escapes a tackle, into the end zone, touchdown Chargers. Donald Parham with the catch, got away from the defense and scores.
Ryan Radke on Westwood won the Parham catch and run, capping off a 24-7 first half, which became a 30-13 decision over those Bears. Justin Herbert, just 9 incompletions, 298 yards, 3 scores, and 0 overreaction.
Just 1 week at a time. This is the most important game of the year for us, just because it was the next one. And we played a really good team, and we went out there and had a victory of all 3 phases. So for us to be able to put that on tape, put that out there, we got a lot to look forward to. We got another tough one on Monday next week.
Next Monday night at the Jets, who are somehow 4-3 after winning what is hopefully the ugliest game we'll have to see in our lifetimes.
When that went to overtime, I was like, this is a joke. This is a joke that we have to watch more of this game.
Well, it made me feel like during the baseball season when teams make fans sit through like rain delays and they don't finish. Like, you know what? Here's a ticket for another game. Here's a food voucher. You should have been rewarded, thanked, apologized to for sitting through this game yesterday. The Giants missing a 35-yard field goal in the final minute, letting Zach Wilson drive for Greg Zuerlein's equalizer. Then he hit from 33 for a 13-10 Jet win in OT. The game featured 24 punts. The teams are combined 3 for 34 on third down. The Jets used 3 centers. The Giants had to go to QB3 Tommy DeVito because Tyrod Taylor went to the hospital with a rib injury. Your thoughts, Brian Dable?
A disappointing loss.
And now his team has 6 of them this season.
Thanks, Brian.
By the way, is there like a more perfect name for the third-string quarterback of the New York Giants than Tommy DeVito from Jersey?
Of course he's from Jersey.
He's definitely from Jersey.
Got a TD chain. I mean, you saw his chain that he was rocking back in college.
He's got a young Sopranos crew haircut as well. Like, I mean, it's perfect.
And he's got negative passing yards.
They would not let him pass the ball and had the gall to say, we didn't change our game plan afterwards.
What was
same plays. Nope.
Two quarterbacks go combined 6 for 14 for the Giants.
For how many yards? Like minus
9 passing yards.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Zach Wilson threw the ball 36 times. This is a bizarre game.
I actually thought of you, Maggie, during that game. Because you said multiple times the only good move Dave Gettleman, the former Giants GM, made was Graham Gano.
He was so good the first couple of years. He was hitting it like a 90% clip.
He's still pretty good. I cannot believe he missed that.
Terrible.
Oh, he's been terrible all year.
Just this year, but before that, the dude couldn't miss on teams that were just not good.
Graham Gano's been around for 2 decades and he's never missed a field goal. I'm shocked by this. And by the way,
it ends.
Every field goal kicker hit 60, 58. Everything was easy all day long except for the Giants.
Tyrod Taylor, one of the many QBs hurt yesterday. Kenny Pickett also has a rib injury. It was Matt Stafford's right thumb. The Kirk Cousins likely torn Achilles. And Patrick Mahomes having flu-like symptoms in Denver. He threw 2 picks, was sacked 3 times in a 24-9 loss that ends a 16-game win streak in that series. The Dolphins 6-2 for the first time in 22 seasons after a 31-17 home win over the Patriots. And the Cowboys smoke the Rams 43-20. Maggie hates him, but that's a scoregami. The first time an NFL game has ended 43-20. It included Deron Bland's 3rd pick 6 of the season. Hope the Bucks kept the receipt. Damian Lillard just 6 points, 6 turnovers, and a 127-110 home loss to the Hawks.
We still learning each other. I think it's a process of when I do have a start like this or have a game like this, how do I find it? Without holding on to the ball, or in the past I would search sometimes, but I don't have to now. So it's where do I find those moments and those opportunities to get myself going.
Trae Young had 20 points and 10 assists as his Hawks avoid 0-3. Victor Wembanyama just 11 points, 5 turnovers in his first road game, a 123-83 beating from the Clippers. And the Sixers hammered the Blazers in their home opener, 126-98. Joel Embiid, 35 points, 15 boards, 7 assists, and 6 blocks.
And the league had to shame him basically into playing yesterday. Or was it the league or was it the fans?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Philly insider?
I have no idea. You guys all thought he was out. I don't. Do you think he responded to social media and stuff? I'm not sure what the process was behind that.
I don't know. No, I don't think it was social media. Well, maybe with Embiid.
Well,
He's
there was a lot of
online.
Everybody was killing the Sixers for sitting Embiid.
Home opener. You can't
Game
do that
3.
if he's not
and
hurt.
The listing questionable. Like that. What is that? Questionable rest. Like, you have an injury. I understand you being questionable, but it's like, He may need rest. He may not. Like, what does that even mean?
Well, as a Sixer fan, though, don't you want...
Depends on if he gets a good night's sleep.
I do want my team to load manage for sure because it's proven to work. So who cares? Is it a fine? Who gets fined? The player or the team?
The team.
So yes, take the fine and load manage. Why not? How much money does it cost?
I think it's $100,000 to start.
That's nothing. In NBA terms, they pay a backup shooting guard gets a $190 million contract. They can afford $100,000. So, by the way, Victor Wembanyama had a big game. I think it was Friday night.
Yeah.
He came on late. He's only shooting 44% from the field. I want to point that out. All we see
It's
is
exclusively threes, so that's actually a really good percentage.
we see the highlights of this guy. He's actually not playing anything like the highlights. He disappears for most of the game, and then he shows up at the end. Trust me,
That's
he's
like every
not,
NBA team.
He's not dominating the NBA like ESPN SportsCenter would lead you to believe. We only see the makes of Wembanyama. I'm just saying, it's not a done deal that he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I'm so excited for this, for you to just bash him.
How's Chet Holmgren doing? I'm going to bash him until he wins two NBA titles.
I think
You'll be bashing him on your way to San Antonio in the car.
Yeah. I think Scoot had 4 points last night in that Sixers game, so.
I might have to move to Brandon Miller. What did he do? What did he do yesterday?
He was off yesterday.
You're going down the depth chart here.
Yeah, Holmgren, Brandon Miller.
Pick a Thompson twin.
Yeah, either Thompson twin. Can you combine the two Thompson twins' stats?
No, they'll
and make
split
them
the
one
vote.
rookie?
They'll split the vote. You need one of them to
Their
be
mom
good.
doesn't vote. They're NBA voters here.
The top 5 in the AP college football rankings unchanged after this weekend's absence. The first alteration is Oregon jumping up to number 6 after thumping Utah. Those Utes dropped from 13 to 18. Number 17, Air Force, still unbeaten, has its highest ranking since 1998. And we check on the MLS postseason. These are the starts of best of 3 first-round series. FC Cincinnati dropping the Red Bulls 3-0. Houston got by Real Salt Lake 2-1. And Sporting KC with a 4-1 surprise at top-seeded St. Louis City. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogish, thank you. Again, amazing T-shirt, the Corbin Carroll. That is really, really sweet. If you want to watch the show and see this cool shirt, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio or twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, we say good morning to all of our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates who we appreciate. The free Odyssey app. That's where you can download the app. It's crystal clear. If you're going through a sketchy area, through some backwoods, the app is always there for you. Sirius XM channel 158. Okay, coming up, the rash of quarterback injuries. So which team should be most concerned? We'll get that to you in moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff right here on CBS Sports Radio in the morning. It was just like a laundry list of quarterbacks who got hurt yesterday, Perloff. The headliner is Kirk Cousins because he tore his Achilles most likely, so that's out for the season. And with Cousins being a mid-30s quarterback, I mean, you're talking about rehab now. He's a free agent at the end of this year. Who's going to be lining up, to want Kirk Cousins when he's going to be this old coming off of an Achilles? Matthew Stafford left the game yesterday, and the Rams getting blown out by the Dallas Cowboys. Kenny Pickett ends up leaving the game yesterday for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost that game to the Jacksonville Jaguars in what was a controversial game, and we have sound for you on that on that in a moment. Tyrod Taylor got knocked out, had to go to the hospital because he got knocked out of the game with a rib injury, and then Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith from the Falcons made sure to say this was because he was hurt. He was not replaced by Taylor Heineke because of performance.
So he did come back. And by the way, Kenny Pickett walked off on his own power into the locker room. So I think a lot of these are minor compared to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles and losing that big contract in the offseason kind of overwhelmed these. Here's the issue. If you're the Giants and your quarterbacks keep getting hurt, and if you're I hate to say it, the Rams and Stafford keeps getting banged up, do you care? Because you're now working on draft position. So I don't think they make a major trade or anything like that.
I don't think so. I honestly, I don't know what the Vikings could do. Maybe bring in Kirk Cousins.
The Vikings
bring in Case Keenum.
They make a trade. They have to. They should go to immediately for Jacoby Brissett. They should offer a fifth round pick for Jacoby Brissett, who's stuck behind Sam Howell in Washington. Why not? That seems like the perfect guy. We've seen him come into a million situations and adjust right on the spot. Big guy, could stay healthy. I think he could throw successfully to those Vikings receivers who've been very good.
I wonder if there are Cleveland Browns fans who are wondering why Jacoby Brissett isn't back with their team now.
Yeah, that would have been huge.
PJ Walker was, listen, this is another loss. Cleveland Browns on the road to play Seattle in a game that was actually a pretty good game and a tight game, a close game. But obviously, the quarterback was the difference.
One more name to throw out for the Vikings.
Yeah.
He's still around. Doesn't
Carson
have a,
Wentz. Stop with the Wentz.
Carson Wentz indoors in Minnesota?
There's a reason Carson Wentz is not on a roster. What has to happen for the Carson Wentz dream of yours to die?
Well, I actually am not a Carson Wentz guy, ironically. I loved Jalen Hurts. I was so happy when he took the job in Philadelphia. But Carson Wentz is clearly better than a lot of players. I mean, he had 27 touchdowns and 7 picks 2 years ago in Indianapolis. He had high-end stats. He was an MVP candidate for half the year. He's not that bad at football. So what? He was terrible in Washington. Everyone's terrible in Washington. He's got to be better than some of these other options. He's better than Jaron Hall.
Let's hear from Kevin O'Connell. Can we says the team has got to discuss internally what they're going to do at quarterback.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's first and foremost, we'll confirm the severity of the injury. And then we'll talk internally and get a lot of, opinions and thoughts on where we're at. I did think Jaron did a nice job. It's not easy to come in cold, legitimately cold, and get a couple completions there. Third down completion to TJ was big.
Yeah, I mean, cut to the Vikings front office, that must just be panicking. I don't know. They didn't really have a great option behind Kirk Cousins because I guess he's been this Iron Man. Yeah. The only game he's ever missed is because of COVID, right? No, never for injury.
Nope, never been hurt traditionally in football ways. So, trade deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday. Wouldn't it be a great Halloween move to sign Carson Wentz to the Vikings? I think it would all come together. It would be a great storyline.
I don't know. It's scary, that's for sure.
Well, they have to do something. John Mannion's been in and out of that team for a while. He's an experienced backup. But Jaron Hall is a rookie. We have no idea once people get tape on him what he's going to do. They have a good enough team to make the playoffs. They're not going to be bad enough to get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So definitely bring in somebody, and somebody with a lot of starting experience.
Listen, the only thing about Minnesota is this doesn't solve anything long-term for you. You are still going to be the same place you were likely going to be at the end of the year with Cousins, which is
I don't think so.
Maybe a playoff team, but not a Super Bowl contender, and you still need a quarterback next year.
But, right, so there was a lot of thought that Kirk Cousins was starting to earn the job back for next year. I saw a pregame interview where they were talking about my future is in Minnesota. So at least they moved on from that idea now because they're definitely going to start young. They're not going to bring back a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins off an Achilles tear.
Oh, definitely not. But that was going to be a dead end anyway. Say Kirk did not get hurt yesterday and they were just going to bring him back for another year.
They sure were.
Right, but you're just going to be on the carousel then for another year. You still need to get a young guy to put behind Cousins.
Right. My point is I think they jumped off the carousel yesterday. I think this is finally they're going to be able to start over at quarterback and not feel bad about it because Kirk's such a nice guy. I think they're feeling a little guilty. We got to sign this guy.
Do you think that we're going to be hearing about Kirk Cousins' Achilles rehab in the same way that we've been hearing about Aaron Rodgers' Achilles rehab? Do you think he's going to try to say, I'm going to be back for the end of the season?
No. I do think something I said last week that you didn't necessarily disagree with, that Kyle Shanahan is now fully going to sign Kirk Cousins for next year, and he's going to sit behind Brock Purdy. That's happening.
He might be an expensive backup, but now coming off the Achilles, now it'll be a little bit cheaper.
And also, he tore it a little bit later, a couple months later than Aaron Rodgers. So I don't think there's no way he's going to be ready for training camp. Unless he's on this special Aaron Rodgers diet. Aaron Rodgers was scrambling pregame yesterday. It was unbelievable.
First of all, why? Okay, Aaron Rodgers out there in the rain. It was raining yesterday all through a lot of the Northeast. Why is he out there basically?
He did a five-step drop and gun to pass.
I don't know. I'd be a little more careful, but listen, it's not me. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we're not sure how many backup quarterbacks we're going to be seeing next week, but obviously it's not looking good for some of these guys. Coming up, a lot more to do, including are the Cowboys back to being Super Bowl contenders? Hint, they never left. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Not often you get a very humble Jerry Jones after what was a big win for the Cowboys yesterday. Welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, right here on CBS Sports Radio. It was a shellacking. I was totally wrong about this. I thought Cowboys, this could be a trap game, against the Rams, those Rams that are maybe a little better than we thought. Maybe I thought the Cowboys would be looking ahead to that Eagles game next week to try to make a, where they need to make a big statement. But no, it was a total butt whooping by the Cowboys. This thing was never in doubt.
Yeah, we know the Cowboys can beat bad teams. This means nothing. They were 5-2 last year. They're 5-2 this year. We've seen this movie. I'm so sorry. I'm one of those guys who's just show me in the playoffs or I don't even care right now with the Cowboys. Yeah, you could blow out a terrible team. Means nothing to me right now. They could beat the Eagles this week. Show me in the playoffs. They're good at this kind of game where the game gets out of control and they can get rush to the passer, get turnovers. We saw it early in the season against the Giants. Once they get going downhill defensively, they're unstoppable, but it has not translated to playoff success. So I'm not reordering the entire NFC because of what I saw on Sunday.
Okay, I thought it was impressive, but the one thing that might end up happening is Jerry Jones has been very adamant about, actually, he's been kind of mixed about the trade deadline, right? About, if you're going to make a trade, you're going to have to call us. We're not out there making calls. When I think a lot of people at least before yesterday for sure, would have said, you probably could stand to use an extra receiver, right? It seemed like maybe another weapon for Dak Prescott could have been a good move. But you have CeeDee Lamb goes off for 12 catches and 158 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday. Brandon Cooks adds a touchdown. Ferguson with a touchdown. This might lull the Cowboys to sleep thinking we're okay here. We don't need to add another receiver. And I think that would be a mistake. Yes, you had a very nice win yesterday, but I wouldn't go ahead thinking you can sit on your laurels here, rest on them rather, because if you really want to win a Super Bowl and change all this narrative of, the Cowboys can't win in the postseason, you probably need someone else.
Yeah, I mean, they've always needed more help for CeeDee Lamb. I think the running back is where they need to go. I still think they should go Derrick Henry. Because think about it, they're going to play San Francisco in the second round because that's what happens.
Of course.
If San Francisco, if you can't threaten San Francisco with any run game, then you're in big trouble. And I don't think Pollard is consistent first down back. I mean, in the game before against the Chargers, Pollard couldn't do anything. Dak was their only runner. So I think that they do need to add something. Beating the Rams is nice. We'll see against Philly. I think Philly's been kind of vulnerable on defense. They could be okay. But in the playoffs, whatever the formula you need really to control the game on the ground, they don't have to me. And their offensive line keeps going in and out. Yep. Here's the problem. Everybody needs the same thing. They need cornerbacks and offensive linemen. Do you know of any that are available, Maggie? Do you have any hidden somewhere?
A couple up my sleeve? No. It's really hard to get those two positions specifically, especially at the trade deadline. Meanwhile, though, you said Derrick Henry. I don't think he's getting traded. I don't know.
I know.
Yesterday,
I think you're right.
Will Levis comes out of nowhere to throw 4 touchdowns, and many of them, 3 out of the 4, were explosive plays. Talking over, 30, 40 yards on these touchdown passes to DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry. Look good for both Hopkins and Henry, 2 guys who thought might be available at the trade deadline. Now Will Levis, does this breathe new life here into the Titans?
Yeah, I think unfortunately for all the teams that have penciled in both of those players, Hopkins and Henry. I mean, Henry's a weird one too because you got to build your offense around him, give him a lot of carries. But I think Dallas would have been the perfect fit because they need some way to control the clock against the good teams and let their defense just go to work. Because Micah Parsons, if you unleash him with a lead, forget it. I am with you. I think Jerry should be more aggressive. I hope that they don't read too much into this win because once the Rams fell behind early, they did come back to make it a little more respectable, but that wasn't a real game. That didn't show me anything.
This is not what you want, and I know that it ended up being successful, but you really don't want your 30. How old's Matthew Stafford? 35?
I think he is 35.
35 years old, calling Philly special for Matthew Stafford, who already has a bad thumb, and he has to lay out basically to get was the touchdown the 2-point conversion?
It was a 2-point conversion. By the way, it was it was
amazing
play
athletic
by Stafford.
But you definitely don't want your quarterback out there taking unnecessary just hits to the ground. It wasn't even that he was hit by a defender. He just he landed like a pile of bricks.
But that is a team who is at a crossroads because Aaron Donald's getting old. He still is amazing. And Stafford's getting old. Is there any future there at all?
Well, you thought with Nakua and with Cooper Kupp coming back that it was like, all right, we're back to this really good offense.
Yeah.
Maybe the Rams have something, but they don't. Meanwhile, back to the Cowboys. Here's Jerry Jones. Can we hear from Jones? Cowboys likely going to be standing pat here at the deadline.
It's accurate to say it doesn't look like we'll be doing anything, but we've done it in a shorter notice than what we're dealing with here. So bottom line is to give you the best pick, it doesn't look like that we'll be doing anything.
I mean, unless this is an all-time head fake from Jerry, it kind of sounds like they're rolling with what they have. So I don't know. I think Cowboy fans, you're excited about what you saw yesterday. Dak 4 touchdowns. But at the same time, you know you're probably going to need another weapon. Here was another thing that Jerry Jones said yesterday. He was asked about the Eagles. So that's the next opponent for the Cowboys. Obviously, big NFC East matchup. Didn't want to say anything because he doesn't want to poke the bear.
You too early to talk about next week's showdown against the Eagles?
Yeah. Let's soak this one up.
You want to wait?
I don't want to do anything to poke the bear.
Okay.
What about spanking himself?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are itching to lose a game, so I think Cowboys should feel a lot of confidence going into this game. The Eagles, they're getting a little wobbly. Their defense all of a sudden is very, very vulnerable, and Jalen Hurts is limping around. This has meaningless Cowboys win written all over it. And that sounds way too harsh, but I think the Cowboys could win this game in Philly, and everyone's going to read into that. But it's a long season. Again, this is terrible. Show me in the playoffs. That's the thing. Dak Prescott's in a no-win situation. He has a great game like that. I think
25 for 31 for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. Profs like show me in the playoffs.
But I think I'm in the overwhelming majority that people see. I heard it described this way: Dak Prescott's in a no-win situation because when he wins a big game, it's a show me in the playoffs. When he loses, it's like, oh, same old Dak. So it only matters if they lose. When they win, it's meaningless because they've been disappointing. I just don't see anything different about this Cowboys team. It feels like we're watching the same movie as last year, almost exactly the same.
I thought that maybe the defense was going to be a tick better, but then they lost Trey Diggs, although Deron Bland had a pick 6 yesterday, so he's been filling in very well. Maybe they don't have any issues there. I thought the defense was going to be a tick better. I'm not so sure. That's the problem.
Big issue is their offensive linemen keep coming in and out. Again, same as last year.
Yeah, but to be honest and to be fair for the Cowboys, like they've weathered offensive line issues in the past.
Don't go there, Maggie.
I'm giving them a compliment. They've weathered these offensive line issues. They just have a lot of talent. Even guys who are backups who are coming in are good.
Yeah, that's funny. Did they weather it when Nick Bosa terrorized Dak Prescott in the playoffs?
Except for that game.
But
you know what? Here's the
I
thing
just
about
think
that
the
game,
in and out and the in and out. Like, you can't have a different offensive line for 16 straight weeks.
I'm telling you, that Cowboy 49er game, as it gets more and more in the rear view, and we see that the 49ers have lost 3 straight, they've started to stumble a little bit. They're dealing with their own injuries and stuff. I think that game becomes less and less important and less of a game that you can point back and say, that's the gap between these two teams. Because I just don't think it's true.
I was talking about last year's game. Sorry.
The last year's playoff game, those were all tight games. Those were all one-score games.
But they kept having linemen come in at the end of the season, and they had a new line against San Francisco in the playoffs, and they just could not handle them at all. So you're right. I'm not talking about 42-10. I'm saying it's the same exact, literally almost to the T, the same exact season as last year. And if they can't get their offensive line stable, this is not a formula for long-term success. I worry about the Cowboys' big picture here. I just think that they're setting up to be the number 3 seed or whatever, have a really hard second-round matchup, and everyone's going to kill McCarthy again.
Listen, I think the 49ers, they look vulnerable right now. That defense is not the ferocious defense that we saw in the first 5 games of the year where it was like they couldn't be beat. It was offense, defense, special teams, coaching. Like the 49ers had you at every turn. They were smarter than you. They were better than you. They were more dominant. That's not the team now.
But they get the best left tackle in football back, and they got arguably the most versatile wide receiver back after the bye.
Okay, but the defense still giving up 400 yards a game. And you're going to play good quarterbacks when it gets down to crunch time in the postseason. And you saw what Joe Burrow absolutely sliced and diced him yesterday, and Kirk Cousins sliced and diced him a week ago.
If I made you make a bet right now, Cowboys or Niners in that second round game, who do you have this year?
I think that the Cowboys have a shot this year. And again, I think it's that 42-10 made people think that there was this huge gap in between those two teams. I think it turns out that the 49ers were just playing the best game they could possibly play in that game. And I think they might have peaked a little too early. That was like the best that a team could play. And the Cowboys played terribly, even though the defense wasn't that bad. They gave up 42 points. So what are you going to say? I think it was just like that was one day. I don't think that was indicative of where they actually are.
Was that an answer?
They're not light years ahead. They're not.
No, who do you got? Cowboys or Niners?
I'll take the Cowboys. They're my Super Bowl pick.
Okay.
So I got to ride with them.
I do think to point out something that Perloff said earlier about the Cowboys' offensive line, and he pointed to this tweet when we were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones had said he believes they have, quote, some good depth on the offensive line, but then added, if you really looked at our team right now, the biggest need is depth in the offensive line. He then said everybody in the league is looking for a starting offensive lineman. Everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I think a decent cornerback could fix so many different teams, but I guess you can't get them. It's funny, your Buffalo Bills need a linebacker. They're the only team that needs a linebacker. So I think there's a lot of real needs with the Super Bowl contenders coming to Tuesday, but we haven't seen that much action yet.
Love to hear from the Cowboy fans at 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227, how you're playing since the bye, and also combined with the 49ers on this 3-game skid. Are you starting to believe maybe the gap isn't so big between those two teams? 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, we do have some incredible sound we have to get to you. One player just unloading on the referees. Unloading. Does he have a point? This guy's getting fined. You know, the moment you say this stuff, it's like, I'm going to part with $30,000 this week. And I'm okay with that. That's how frustrated I am. We're going to play that for you in just a minute. Plus, the one stat that just blew us away. We do all of that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff is on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. Maybe it's because it was 1 o'clock and the Cowboys never play at 1 o'clock. I just can't read anything into their win over the Rams. The Rams, to me, have given up. And you could see that on Sunday. Did their body language say we're in it to win it? Not for 1 second to me. Cowboys have a big game coming up against the Eagles. Not buying it yet. I say they go 12-5, losing the second round. And I feel like that's a very safe bet. If you look at the history of the Cowboys,
Yes.
that feels right to me.
Well, I think that has a little bit more to do with the 49ers. If they do meet the 49ers in the second round, which feels like
inevitable.
Yeah, this is like what the league
Yeah.
schedules every year for like the third week in January or second week. But I think that the 49ers look vulnerable. So maybe if you're the Cowboys, I know they played each other and the 49ers smoked them. But I think you look at that now with a couple weeks now of it being in the rear view, and it's not that the 49ers are that much better than the Cowboys. They were that much better on that day. I don't think there's as big a gap between these two teams as maybe other people do. Let's go to Tawan. He's in Ohio. Tawan, you're on CBS Sports Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. I just wanted to say that even though it was pretty much a blowout, but, sometimes games get going in the flow of the game, and once things start rolling, they fall downhill, they go downhill, just like yesterday when the Cowboys played the Rams. This happened and that happened, and then next thing you know, it's a blowout. Doesn't mean those teams are that far apart from each other, especially the way that I've been seeing how the 49ers have been playing the last few weeks. I know everything, falls back on Dak, and how Dak plays is how the Cowboys go. But to have a team like the 49ers lose 3 in a row, I know a couple weeks ago, I was like, calm down. But at some point, you got to start to push the panic button a little bit.
Yeah.
And 3 in a row seems like a perfect time, that panic button, you may be getting closer and closer to it.
Well, Tawan, they go into their bye week. I'm with you. They go into their bye week now. Thank you for the phone call. They go into their bye week now. The 49ers do. Probably comes at the perfect time for them, so they can regroup a little bit because, you're right. They look vulnerable to me now. This is not the world beater team that we saw start the season 5-0.
Yeah, I just think you have to look back 2 years ago. The Niners came into Dallas, heavy underdog, and just really beat them down in that playoff game. I don't care about the 42-10 game. I care about the 2 playoff games where the Niners defense has just stymied whatever Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy are trying to do. And I just don't see what's different. It feels like the Cowboys are on repeat. Very, very good regular season. I'm not sure. Maybe Micah Parsons is a difference. Maybe what you picked them to win the Super Bowl. What was the special sauce in your mind? I'm not saying that it was. Obviously, it's a good pick. They're going to win double-digit games. But what's to make this year any different?
I thought they actually were going to have a commitment to running the ball. A little bit more of that Texas Coast offense or whatever was going to take a little bit of the pressure off of Dak Prescott to have to be Superman all the time. But they do need him to run a little bit if they're going to be successful. And I thought the defense was going to take a little tick up. I'm not so sure if any of that is going to happen, but I do know that the 49ers do look vulnerable on the other side. Now, they have time to figure this out. San Francisco does, but I like this sort of jumbled up NFC for the Cowboys maybe a little bit more than you do. We told you there was some amazing sound that you have to hear from yesterday. So this comes courtesy of the Steelers-Jacksonville game. Perloff, Pittsburgh loses to the Jacksonville Jags at home. Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver for the Steelers, was not happy with the officiating, and he didn't hold back.
They was calling some stupid stuff. Like, they should get fined for calling bad making worse, terrible calls and stuff like that. Like, that's how pissed I am. Like, because they cost us the game. I don't care what nobody say. They cost us the game.
Cost us the game. They should be fined, which would be something if the officials could get fined for bad calls. So a couple things that he's probably talking about here. There was a pass interference call against James Pierre on a 3rd and 7 on a drive that led to a field goal. Scoring was kind of at a premium in this game. There was no roughing the passer call on a hit on Kenny Pickett that forced him out of the game. And this is the one that I think he's talking about doesn't make a lot of sense. Isaac Seumalo is an offensive guard. He got called on an offsides on a field goal.
Yeah.
It is rare when you see a guard get called offsides that his head apparently was in the neutral zone, but the internet is sleuthed. That was not really true.
Yeah, I totally disagree with Deontay Johnson. If you watch that game, there is no way Mitch Trubisky was going to win that game. I've never seen a backup quarterback throw into triple coverage more in my entire life. So the Jags are up 17-3.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I haven't actually, but there's just no way. Trubisky was not winning that game. When the Jags got up 17-3, they might as well just stop right there. Kenny Pickett probably would have won that game because that's what the Steelers do. They hang around. But the Jags kind of kept them a little bit close. There was no way in a million years Trubisky was winning that. He just was not on point at all yesterday.
Yes. I mean, Trubisky obviously is terrible, but here is the current state of the Steelers offense. This one is from Mike DeFabo, really just put this all out here on Twitter. They are 31st in points per game offensively. They are 31st in yards per game. They're 28th in rushing. They're 29th in yards per carry. They're 25th in passing yards per game. They're 32nd in time of possession. And they are 29th in pressures and drop back. I mean, the offense is just all types of wrong. And it's almost a miracle that they are not 2-6.
The Fire Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, chant started the hockey game last night, I guess. They had 190 yards of offense until the last drive of the game when they got 70 yards out of nowhere. That was my Super Bowl pick, and gosh, do I regret that. I guess I didn't take into account that Matt Canada was so bad. This is not a personnel issue. This is a coaching. Watch their play calling. It's as uncreative as you can possibly be. But Mike Tomlin's loyal. Is it too late to fire the offensive coordinator? What are you going to get in someone, a Sean McVay type in week 8?
Did they already have their bye? I got to double check that.
Even with the bye, you can't hire. I've never heard of a team hiring a new offensive coordinator and changing
you got
the
to
offense.
elevate somebody.
Even so, or just change the play calls. Just do something completely different because this is not sustainable.
You can definitely fire your offensive coordinator.
You can fire him, but right.
Teams do it all the time in the season.
Yeah, but I don't think you can't bring in someone from outside to fix it. Can you?
Sorry, the Steelers' bye was week 6. I thought they already had their bye. So that maybe would have been the time to fire your offensive coordinator and give the new guy a chance to come in and, get settled, not into the organization, but elevated. And it's not like, listen, the Jags, 4-0 on the road this year, Not bad, but this is a Jags defense that had allowed 24, 20, 20, and 37 points in 4 of their last 5 games. It's not like you can't score on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just didn't score because their offense is so atrocious.
That was a hard watch. I don't know if it was the weather. It was 9-3 at half. It should have been 9-6 if it wasn't for that penalty. That was a really tough game. Jags, credit the Jags for winning these games. I think the old Jags might have found a way to blow that game. If Kenny Pickett was healthy, I'm curious if the Steelers would have hung around and won that game. I got a sense. Trubisky was supposed to be a high-end backup. He got an $11 million 2-year contract, and he just is not playing like that at all.
No, let's go to the phones, 855-2124-CBS. And for the Steelers fans, one last thing. You can complain about the officiating, and you would have a right to. This was a rookie officiating crew yesterday. They clearly have a lot of growing pains. However, what's the state of your team if you've got to complain about the refs and that's all you have?
By the way, the Jags got more penalties than the Steelers did, and these are all, everything you said was in the first half, too. I'm not sure that was an officiating game.
But, what does it say about you when you have to point to the officiating?
Wow, Deontay Johnson has never said the right thing or done the right thing.
But he's a good player. I know he had the big drop in the first half, but he's a number 1 receiver.
No.
He's good, man.
He is one of the worst receivers. He must be the all-time drop king. He single-handedly ended Ben Roethlisberger. He is the worst dropper in the NFL. He single-handedly ended Ben Roethlisberger's career with his drops.
Ben Roethlisberger getting old single-handedly ended Ben Roethlisberger's career.
Deontay Johnson's drops are unbelievable. Ask Steelers fans if they think he's a number 1 receiver. Pickens is a number 1 receiver. Deontay Johnson is a drop machine.
Okay, yesterday, I don't want to just go to the box score yesterday because that was obviously a tough day where you only put up 10 points of offense if you're the Steelers, but in a different offense, he still had 8 catches for 85 yards on 14 targets. So I see what you're saying. George Pickens, 1 reception, 22 yards.
Do you remember the COVID year, the game against the Ravens, where he dropped 4 perfect bombs from Big Ben? He's always had drop problems. He was supposed to fix it this year. But now the offense is so bad, everybody stinks.
You couldn't even tell. Mark's in Ohio. He's got a thought on what he saw in Week 8. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, you know that machine at the top of the Plinko game? That's Deontay Johnson drops.
Oh, man. Just like ping, 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 ping all the way down?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's all the Jaguars players trying to catch that.
Oh, man. What else you got, Mark?
It's funny because the Steelers, they lose all the games that don't really matter. And it's so the Browns, they beat the 49ers, which might seem like a big game, but if they lose to everybody in their division.
Oh, Mark, we lost you.
Wanting to ask you is how much do you think that NFL teams or even just the players, they don't really get up for that, the Cowboys versus 49ers because they know it doesn't really matter if they can manage to beat the Eagles twice. They're right on top of the division.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Mark, and thank you for the phone call. Do you think teams kind of understand 17 games, a long season, really the ones that matter are the division games?
I think it's more the out-of-conference games that teams mail in. I think you see a lot of funny results when you're playing out-of-conference, especially on the road. I don't know. When I think of the division games, to me, I think, anybody can win this game. Your Bills, every time they play these inferior AFC East teams, it's an adventure.
Yeah, and they have lost 2 of them already to the Jets and the
Patriots. Right.
And look at your Eagles yesterday. The Commanders always play your team tough.
The Commanders are the Eagles' kryptonite. Yeah, I feel like you almost throw out the divisional results because there's such a depth of knowledge of each other's team.
But you saw it yesterday with Kansas City and with Denver. So it's been, I know Kansas City, and we're going to talk more about Mahomes, and he was dealing with the flu. But this is now twice that they've played Denver in the last, 3 weeks? And they've been pretty tight-ish games.
Last year, Denver played them really, really well. Almost knocked them off when Denver was with Nathaniel Hackett as a coach. So
it was 19-8 was the first game that they played earlier this year that the Chiefs won. And then yesterday they lost 24-9, had chances in that game to make it closer. But ultimately, Kansas City was just...
That was ugly.
Brutal offense yesterday.
5 turnovers. Mahomes did make some unbelievable plays, of course. We all know what the problem was there. There was a certain person missing from the Chiefs I mean, if Taylor's not going to go to Denver, you're going to hurt the bottom line. I said it last Friday. She's on the team because the defense is playing well, but she's got to actually be there to inspire the offense.
I guess is just something about her being in attendance. I mean, listen, Kelsey was still good.
Yeah.
6 for 58, did not score a touchdown, though.
Russell Wilson, on the other hand, for Denver, did not want to accept that easy win. He tried to lose that game about 5 times. Has any player gotten slower from earlier in his career? He rolls out and it's either a fumble or an interception or incompletion every time.
Was there like a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 2? He just needed 2 yards. Like the old Russell Wilson, this is just not even a question. You can play action. He can roll out, whatever you go, shotgun, whatever you want to do. Just get 2 yards. Could not do it.
It looked like he was in quicksand. I know the exact play. It was so easy. It was right there in front of him. And he was spinning his legs as hard as he could, but it just didn't go anywhere.
We will talk more about the Chiefs in that Broncos game. But again, speaking of teams that play each other tight in the division, you got one of those yesterday. We welcome in Andrew Bogusch, who's got some headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. Before yesterday's QB carnage, the Titans had already lost Ryan Tannehill to a high ankle sprain, and now maybe they've found their new QB.
Play fake, Levis rolling to the right, looking, firing deep downfield, going for Westbrook Akine in the end zone. Touchdown, Titans! Will Levis on his back gets to watch as he has just thrown his 4th touchdown pass of his NFL debut.
Mike Keith on Titans radio. Will Levis with those 4 touchdown passes in his debut, joining Marcus Mariota and Fran Tarkenton as the only other QBs to do that.
I've been dreaming of this moment as a kid my entire life, even just to touch the field in an NFL game, let alone get a win. Is incredible.
It was 28-23 over the Falcons, who finished the game with Taylor Heineke under center. Desmond Ridder reportedly checked for a concussion, cleared to return, but did not. The assumption in Minnesota is that Kirk Cousins tore his right Achilles in a 24-10 win at Lambeau. So much more impressive than that those shorthanded Vikings beat the Bills overnight as well. Justin Herbert's broken left middle finger, not an issue on Sunday Night Football. 298 yards and 3 scores in a 30-13 rout of the Bears in L.A.
Every week it's getting better. It worked out. Didn't have any issues with the glove falling off today. So, whatever the trainers did, I thought it worked out well today.
What the trainers did was give him a perpetual middle finger, basically, on that left hand. It was super bizarre. And
sorry, it does remind me there was like a Seinfeld episode from many years ago where George thinks that someone is giving the middle finger to him and Danny Tartable, the former baseball player, and then they chase him down for miles and miles and miles, and it turns out the guy's in a cast that makes the middle finger stick up. And then he goes, "Is that Danny Tartable?" and asks for a photo. I got to stop doing the Seinfeld references. I think it's hit like it's 35 years later. I'll see myself out.
It's also a bad audience. Like I don't know enough of them to
really.
Yeah,
I knew exactly. The second Maggie brought that up, I knew exactly. I remember the scene at a gas station.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah,
I'm right with
you.
you.
The statute of limitation on Seinfeld, I think, is long. I think you're still within reason.
Oh, and were you guys watching Friends clips this
Yeah.
weekend?
Yeah.
How sad was that?
So sad.
And I wasn't even a Friends watcher. You know who is? Aaron Boone, manager of the Yankees, watches one episode of Friends before he goes to sleep every single night. Chronologically starts with season 1 all the way to season 50 or however many seasons there were, and then starts over again. But I was watching some compilation clips of Chandler Bing, Matthew Perry. That was sad.
What shows are we allowed to reference from the 90s and the 2000s? Can we do Simpsons?
I think The Office is... Yeah, Simpsons is fine. I think The Office is still in there.
Because I wanted to bring up, there was a great, our friend Big Cat at Barstool tweeted out the Abe Simpson walking into a strip club and seeing Bart there and walking right out for last night's Sunday Night Football game. That's exactly what I did. I come in, sit on the remote,
hat on the coat rack, and then come back out and
put
grab
the
the hat off the
I'm
coat
like,
rack.
all right, this game is awful, and just walked away. So does it have to become a meme? Because South Park, Simpsons, I would quote them all the time if I could. I just think people don't get it.
I think you're still good with Family Guy.
The Office is definitely in play.
I know. I feel like with a lot of The Office, though, it was just like the camera kind of slowly putting on Jim, which you can't. It's not really quotable.
I think Game of Thrones is always still up for
still.
Yeah, that's actually been a little while too now. These shows fade quickly. How about when Kevin drops a chili in office? That
I know, but it's a visual.
But you can mention it. Everyone knows that scene. So
No, I think the most quotable office is still you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott.
Well, yeah.
You also got the, well, how the turntables have.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I think if you mention Scott's Tots, people know what you're talking about, right? So, but then again, maybe young people have no idea. They probably haven't even seen The Office. It feels like if you're young, you completely judge anything that was more than 3 years ago.
Probably. There's nothing quotable anymore because we're not all watching the same stuff except for football.
Exactly. Except everybody in the world has watched Friends, though.
Yeah.
That's such an international show. So, yeah, that was really sad, too, because I read part of his book. It was super fun. I was in the bookstore. Matthew Perry came out with a biography recently. Obviously struggled a lot in his life, but I feel like he was on the uptick. Things were going well. That's why this was a tough weekend.
Very sad. Back to headlines.
Bryce Young has his first win, 15-13 over the Texans. Eddie Pinheiro, a 23-yard game-ending field goal with Young leading a 15-play, 86-yard drive to make that happen for the Panthers. The Jaguar win streak is 5 after a 2010 win in Pittsburgh. The Steelers also losing QB Kenny Pickett to a rib injury and Minka Fitzpatrick to a hamstring. And the Eagles again had extra trouble with the Commanders, winning 38-31 on the road. Washington led 14-13 and 24-17. Jalen Hurts did throw 4 touchdowns, but limped again on that left knee.
Also, Perloff was the one, by the way, who did not want the team to trade for A.J. Brown. I just want the record to reflect that. You don't even appreciate this guy. Anyone else would love to have him. You're like, I don't know, he's kind of like a system guy. Wide receiver's new running back.
Yeah, I'm so glad you keep bringing that up. Thank you. Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, he won my over bet for me. It was like the first half. I appreciate it more than you.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Jalen Hurts looked pretty good yesterday, except for the limping. Man, is he unbelievably accurate. MVP again. Get him back in the MVP race.
Done. Chris Paul started the first 1,365 NBA games, including the postseason, and then came off the Warrior bench yesterday in Houston.
It's definitely different, but at the end of the day, it's basketball, And so for me, the warm-up is different, A lot of it was, but once you get out there playing in the game, now is hooping.
Paul scored 8 points, 7 assists, 22 minutes in a 106-95 win. He's now a sub because Draymond Green returned from his sprained ankle to make his season debut. 4 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists for him in 21 minutes. LeBron and the Lakers losing in OT in Sacramento, 132-127 on the 20th anniversary of LeBron's NBA debut, which also came in Sacramento. And the Clippers steamrolled the Spurs, 123-83. Victor Wembanyama, 11 points, 5 turnovers in his first road game. Hockey last night outside the Heritage Classic in Edmonton. The Oilers snapping their 4-game skid 5-2 over the Flames. Sporting KC beginning its best of 3 with top-seeded St. Louis City with a 4-1 road win. East number 1 FC Cincinnati took its opener with the New York Red Bulls 3-0, and Max Verstappen broke the record he set last season with his 16th win of this F1 season at the Mexico City Grand Prix. 51 career wins, ties Verstappen for 4th all-time. Guys, back to you.
Bogish, thank you. Really appreciate that. We have so much more to get to, including a very uncharacteristic day from one of the absolute best. We've got that. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Today's Monday Night Football preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The Lions are on the rebound track as they return home to host the Raiders. The same Raiders that Maggie said, how can anybody lose to this team? Detroit experienced their worst loss of the season Week 7, a 38-6 dismantling at Baltimore. Jared Goff and company are 7.5-point favorites on FanDuel. Gosh, I hope tonight is a good game because last night was not super entertaining.
No.
I'm really kind of into the Lions. They have a great chance in the NFC. They got to take care of business here. But, you know, the Raiders are as unpredictable team as you get.
Well, Jimmy G comes back.
Right.
So I don't know what that means, but you have the Lions coming off of this terrible, humbling performance last week against the Ravens. So now they get to go home and let's see what they're made of.
Maybe it's good for them to have a wake-up call. They're busy reading their own headlines. Baltimore's obviously a very good team. The Raiders are not.
No, they're not a good team. They're not a well-coached team. They have talent. They're top-heavy, but they're not a good team. I have the Lions, and I laid the 8 points on this one. That was before I knew Jimmy G came back.
Ooh.
Whoops.
No, you're fine.
Feeling a little nervous about that.
Detroit at home, I think. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I imagine that they're much better.
I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is questionable for this game, right? We'll get you all the latest in just moments. Okay, we've got a new game we want to play called Do the Numbers Tell the Story? EJ is going to give us a stat. We'll tell you whether or not this was the story or not the story. Hey, EJ.
Hey guys, so let's start in Denver, where Patrick Mahomes struggled for much of the afternoon as the Broncos snapped a 12-game losing streak to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, Pat Mahomes, no picks, 2 interceptions. Do the numbers tell the story?
No touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Sorry, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. My bad.
Does that tell the story? Yes, it does tell the story. I think if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the flu, I think they probably win this game. So I'm going to say Mahomes being sick was the story.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you count that. It doesn't tell the story in the sense that you're going to look at those numbers in 2 years and say, what happened to Mahomes in this game? You have to know that he wasn't sharp and he wasn't sick. Also, those fumbles killed him as well. Actually, there were plays that Mahomes was making where you saw 70% of the Mahomes play, then he just couldn't finish it. So I think the next question is this Patrick Mahomes moving forward? And we both agree no.
No, this is Patrick Mahomes sick. I was trying to think of what's the last thing you've done with the flu?
Gosh, I don't remember. I don't usually get the flu, knock on wood. Yeah.
Famous last words.
All right.
What's the next stat, EJ?
Okay, so let's go to the slop fest that was at MetLife Stadium. Zach Wilson leads the Jets to a game-time field goal going 58 yards in just 4 plays and 20 seconds. Do the numbers tell the story?
Oh, EJ, we know you want them to tell the story. Jets fan that you are. This does not tell the story. Every quarterback, if you're in this league, even as a backup, you could have a moment. You could have a moment. That was a moment for Zach Wilson. That does not tell the story. He has moments, but he's never able to put anything together. That game just was atrocious. It wasn't even so bad it was good. Like, it was just bad. 24 punts, 17 of them were on 3 and outs, Perloff.
You know, it's funny. With bad quarterbacks like this, they are better in a 2-minute drill when they don't have time to think. And I think that, the Jets should do more of this, but they're not going to do this because they don't want to hurry up the clock at all. But I've seen terrible quarterbacks go on this 2-minute drive, and that's what Zach Wilson did. Sorry, did he actually down the ball with 1 second left? Because I saw our buddy Boomer Esiason said no, the offense wasn't set. Should they have ended the game there, or was that a legal play? With 1 second left, he spiked the ball, and they got to kick the field goal.
The field goal
I was very dubious of that.
Apparently, the official did come in and touch it. So This was not like the Cowboys 49ers from a couple years ago. Right? Cowboys 49ers. Yeah.
This is Boomer Esiason.
This was different. The official did touch the ball.
Okay, because I saw a lot of people saying that the official didn't really set the play the way he was supposed to. So you guys, everyone's saying it's on the up and up. I haven't followed that close.
I mean, I know that the question is the question about whether the ref has to center the ball or put the ball is not really the question. Again, he has to touch the ball, which he did.
Oh, that's the rule.
He signed off on it.
Yeah, he touched the ball and then he got out the way. So at that point, you can snap it.
Yeah, he didn't place the ball, but he touched the ball.
Man,
that's what it comes down to for the Jets and Giants. I mean, it was just rough game, and
the big loss for the Giants in the loss column. I'd be kind of psyched if I'm a Giants fan, because now it's clear. I don't care if you have Daniel Jones for 2 years, $80 million. You are drafting a quarterback. I'm going to come force you to draft a quarterback.
And beyond that, you're also thinking now trade deadline. I mean, you have some pieces, definitely in Saquon Barkley, that could be a piece that somebody would want.
And we're back on that again, trading Saquon Barkley. I feel like that was the whole offseason.
There was a headline on Sunday morning that they're not going to trade Saquon Barkley, and now can it be back in play?
Should be. Next stat, please.
Okay, so let's go to another young quarterback. Will Levis throws for 4 touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons, earning his first win as a pro quarterback. Do the 4 touchdowns from Will Levis tell the story?
Absolutely not, in the sense that he's never going to throw 4 touchdowns like this again in the rest of his 15-year NFL career.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's nice. You gave him a long career.
Nobody throws 3 bombs like Will Levis threw yesterday out of nowhere. First of all, they're going to get his tendencies, so he's going to come back down to earth statistically, just like Tyson Bagent did last night. But it's not even that. He was on his back foot, and somehow just launch a perfectly accurate 50-yard pass. Nobody does this. It can't be true. What happened yesterday with Will Levis, those numbers cannot be accurate.
Listen, DeAndre Hopkins is known as a 50-50 guy. Like that's his thing, and he caught a couple of them yesterday. He had the 3 touchdowns of at least 50 yards each. Just dynamite. This is what eating a banana with the peel on does for you, apparently.
If he
gives you that kind of strength.
Also mayo in the coffee. Don't
mayo in
forget
the
that.
coffee. He's a human compost bin.
He's not throwing 3 50-yard touchdowns the rest of the season. And I'm not even saying I like Will Levis. I mean, a Penn State kid, totally in my
Kentucky,
wheelhouse.
Then.
Well, he was at Penn State, and then he went to Kentucky. I'm totally cool with Will Levis. He's not going to do this again. There's going to be, all right, that's the bet. I'll bet he doesn't throw 3 more 50-yard touchdowns.
There's no way I'm taking that bet. No shot. All right, our last stat is what?
Okay, so let's go to the game we've been talking about much of this morning, the Bengals 49ers. The 49ers allowed 400 total yards of offense to the Cincinnati Bengals. Do the numbers tell the story on the 49ers defense allowing 400 total yards?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, and who they allow it to is Joe Burrow sliced and diced them, and last week Kirk Cousins did the same thing. And add on the loss to Cleveland a week before just for good measure, and this is time to look yourselves in the mirror. For that defense, it's like you're not the scary defense that you used to be. Like a month ago.
This is not a good excuse, but they need a lead to be scary. You need to force the other team into passing situations so Nick Bosa and all those guys can just pin their ears back. So that they need a couple things. They need to fix their run game. So they need Trent Williams back, and they need Deebo Samuel back. The offense will be able to control the ball. You're not going to have Brock Purdy throwing for 400 yards. So I think it's complementary football will help the Niners defense get back. I know that is not the excuse you expect, but I think once they start running the ball more effectively, the defense will be out there all the time, and they're going to be able to pass rushes, which is what they do very, very well.
Okay, and those are the numbers tell the story. Here's why I don't want to give the 49ers a pass on this is because other teams are missing players, and you have to still try to find a way to win. And on the defensive side, they're not missing guys. Yeah. They're missing your left tackle. You're missing one of your weapons. What's the one thing we said of the 49ers? They've got so many weapons, you can actually afford to lose a guy here and there. And, you know, lots of teams have to deal with offensive line injuries. If your quarterback is as good as people think and your offense is as good as people think, you can make up for that.
First of all, it's a 7th-round pick that they're paying $1 million a year. Or no, $800,000 a year.
I don't want to hear that when he was MVP conversation. We were not allowed to talk about his draft, where he was drafted anymore, I thought. Nobody's
losing a lineman like Trent Williams. He's the single most talented left tackle in the entire NFL. So I think you're underestimating that, and I think you're underestimating Deebo and his effect on moving the sticks and keeping the ball on the offensive side of the ball. All that being said, Brock Purdy made some incredible plays last night. The one where he scrambled out and went against the grain and found George Kittle, I had no idea he was capable of that play. The dude threw for 3.
That play is picked off like 99% of the time. That was not if you're taking process over results, that was not a good throw.
Brock Purdy threw for 365 yards against a Lou Anarumo defense. I mean, that is plenty. That's plenty from their quarterback. They should be winning games if Brock Purdy plays that well. I know the turnovers are bad. But
2
they
picks
did not
in the second half.
He's had basically career highs in passing the last 2 weeks. He's really been moving the ball. You don't need to have Patrick Mahomes to win with this San Francisco offense. I think that they're going to fix all this. I think they're going to get back to running. I read that the key adjustment was teams are putting 5 guys on the defensive line to stop McCaffrey. That is a problem. Basically, teams woke up and said, you know what? This Christian McCaffrey guy is hurting us a lot. We should maybe focus on that, and that's why Purdy's throwing for so many yards. We'll see. Shanahan's a good coach. I trust the Niners.
Coming up, the biggest thing that we got wrong from the weekend. We're not afraid to admit it. We blew it yesterday. We'll tell you how. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Right?
One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 49ers lose their third straight after a 5-0 start. The Cincinnati Bengals go into Levi Stadium, kind of knock the 49ers around a little bit, and it's both sides, really. It's the defense that was once really feared, now looks vulnerable. And then on the offense, Perloff, maybe the yards are there in terms of Brock Purdy's numbers, but the points aren't there. They haven't scored more than 17 points in this 3-game skid.
Well, I think Brock Purdy had his best half of the year in the first half. Unbelievable. They really didn't get that many opportunities, though, because Cincinnati was driving at will every single drive. Basically, Cincinnati looked like what San Francisco wants to look like. Run the ball, control the game with their defense. Yes, the Niners are not built to win from behind. They do not want Brock Purdy throwing for 365 yards. They don't want him scrambling and finding guys. They want Christian McCaffrey to control the game. They can't do that when their defense is letting up touchdown drive after touchdown drive. Minnesota controlled the entire, basically they couldn't get him off the field at any point. I don't know what's going on. I do think there are adjustments to be made. My big concern with the Niners is their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks. To go from DeMeco Ryans to Steve Wilks might be a bigger downgrade than we realize. So that, because I watched DeMeco Ryans in Houston, and that defense has no one I've ever heard of, and they are salty. So I wonder if that coaching loss was one we didn't see coming as a huge factor.
Well, here's the thing, though. You still have the same pieces for the most part. So I get it with coaching, and the players are going to execute what the coach wants. But you still have guys who we think are like walk-in Hall of Famers with Nick Bosa, with Fred Warner, and others. So now all of a sudden they stink? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me either. I get a coordinator I think can do more with less, but when you already have all this great talent, can you really look at the coach and be like, that's why they stink? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if I'm buying
They just don't feel as aggressive as last year. I feel like Wilks, for some reason, just doesn't. I do think coordinator's a huge deal. You got to know when to blitz, when not to blitz. There's so many different little decisions that they're either not making the right decision. Their defensive backfield seems confused almost every deep pass. It feels like the safety and the cornerback are pointing at each other a lot because I don't think those guys were used to having to do anything. Usually, Dre Greenlaw was limping around. That's a huge deal. He's a super player. He's had a chronic hamstring issue. Fred Warner is not the same Fred Warner. I think they're going to fix a lot of this. I do think you say they're completely healthy. Greenlaw is such a big part of what they do, and he wasn't the same yesterday. They have a bye. That is huge for them. You could see Debo on the sideline. He was eating sunflower seeds or something. He looks so cocky. He's like, I'm going to come back and fix this team. And Trent Williams coming back. We've seen this. Look at Joe Burrow on the other side. He was done. He was toast. They were 0-2, and now he's 100% healthy, running around like he was a young kid. He is still a young kid. So I think San Francisco could get healthy and fix all this.
It was a great day for Joe Burrow and the offense, the 31 points on the road. I mean, they've just been sort of building now over the last 2 weeks. They're still in last place in the AFC North, technically, but you did have losses yesterday by the Cleveland Browns. You had losses yesterday for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a win yesterday from the Ravens, and you get a sense that it's going to be the Ravens and the Bengals when this thing is all said and done. EJ, let's update the poll results, please, on our question, which is?
Yeah, so we asked the question, are you concerned about the 49ers? And right now, people are concerned. 62.4% say yes, 37.6% say no.
Well, I am one of those who is concerned because this is a little different than the way they've done things in the past, which is normally they don't get off to this incredible start and they sort of find and peak at the right time at the end of the season. Now they might have peaked. I mean, that 42-10 game against the Cowboys may have been the best game they can play. And so what's to say they couldn't do it again? Maybe they can, but sometimes teams peak too early. It happens.
I don't know. I'm thinking back to certain playoff games. They went into Lambeau and won. They went into Dallas and won in the playoffs. Shanahan and that defense carries into the playoffs. I think they would have given the Eagles a much bigger challenge last year if quarterbacks didn't get hurt early on in the game. They held Jalen Hurts to 125 yards passing. I know he didn't need to pass the ball at all. That defense, if they peak again, I just think that they could peak again. Last year, they won their last 10 games. Counting them out is a dangerous proposition.
They had it They lost it. Now we'll see if they can get it back. Oh, by the way, the next 7 opponents after the bye, they start at Jacksonville. Only 2 of them right now have losing records. So it's not like they have this cupcake schedule that's waiting for them on the other side of the bye. All right, around here, by the way, you're welcome to call in 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227 if you want to talk about the 49ers. Let's get to what we got wrong.
Even we can't be right all the time.
Samsonite. I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Time for Maggie and Perloff to own up.
So I had a tough week with my picks, 1 and 2. The Patriots-Dolphins, I had heard the Patriots fix their offensive line. Everyone's back. They can block now. And now that he has an offensive line, Mac Jones is going to look good because he looked good last week against your Bills.
I know.
The Dolphins were desperately trying to give the Patriots a chance at every turn in this game. The Patriots said, nah, we're good. We're going to have 161 yards of passing the entire game. We're not going to be able to run the ball at all. And we're just going to let you hang around. And eventually, the Dolphins are going to hit some big plays. I can't believe how bad the Patriots are. Because I got fooled by last week. I don't see them winning more than 2 more games the rest of the season because their offense is so tepid. They're like kittens without their claws. They're just so unscary. I haven't seen a less explosive team in a long time, except for the Jets and the Giants, but they don't really count.
No, that was on a whole other level of wild, the Jets and Giants. Right now for New England, for all that losing they're doing, for how bad they look, they sit 5th right now in terms of where they would pick in the NFL draft coming up.
Yeah,
you got
but
Arizona and then Chicago by way of Carolina, then Chicago's actual pick, then the Giants, then New England. You're going to have to try harder here,
well,
Patriots.
both New England and Giants are 2 and 6. Yeah, the New England has a much harder schedule than the Giants. The Giants might find some easy wins. The Chicago-Arizona is an issue. Okay, I admit Chicago's an issue. So the Patriots get Drake May. That's good.
They come in with the...
Yeah, they're not going to get Caleb Williams, but they're definitely starting over quarterback. Mac Jones is totally lost out there. And by the way, I don't know if he has any talent to start with. I don't even know that he's lost. I just think he's not that good.
Maybe not. I mean, he did go to the playoffs his first year with the Patriots, but they also lost a couple of receivers yesterday. I think also the bottom line is Miami is a good team. They just quietly kind of go about their business, which is weird because they have Tyreek Hill, and he's great, and they
beat the Patriots in Miami. That means nothing to me.
Okay.
They're good, but okay, they don't need to be good. But they have a Super Bowl expectation. Beating the Patriots. By the way, that game, I had them at 9.5. That was an easy cover. The Dolphins had a turnover late in the game to give the Patriots cover, and then the Patriots couldn't do anything.
They blew it.
Yeah, you know how you get mad when you lose a bet?
Oh, definitely. My thing I got wrong this week, I thought that the Rams were going to give the Cowboys a little bit more of a fight. Then I forgot. I know what it's like when you have a kid, and then a couple days later, you got to, do something. You're not a person. Sean McVay just had a child, a couple days ago. Now, he didn't actually do it, but... Of course he was going to be sleep deprived. Bilotti knows what I'm talking about. He hasn't slept in 2 years.
Maybe more.
This was going to be a big loss. I don't know why I thought this could have been a trap game for the Cowboys. So they completely impressed me. Came out. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdowns. They win this thing going away. Knock Matthew Stafford out of the game. I think Cowboys are back. I just don't know if they ever went anywhere to begin with. We kind of wrote them off after the 42-10 loss to the San Francisco 49ers, but I don't think the talent gap is actually that big between those two teams.
I think it's interesting with the Rams. So they have a couple winnable games. Do they totally tank and try and lose to Green Bay and try and lose to Arizona? Because they're going to be competing for a quarterback too. I'm not sure. I can't see more than 3 wins left for the Rams, who are 3-5 now. Get to 6 wins. Are you going to get what you need with that?
I don't know. They would pick 9th if the season ended today. Anyone else want to own up to anything over there?
I thought the Jets would go in there and just stomp the New York Giants. That did not happen. They did win, so yeah. I will take a win. I'm not going to apologize for a win, but I thought it'd be a lot more dominant, and it took a miraculous missed field goal and a miraculous 20-second drive from Zach Wilson to go down the field just to get it to overtime. The Jets... It's ridiculous at this point. Like SALEH and Wilson, that combination, my heart can't take it anymore. And it's going to be a really long 10 more weeks of this.
Listen, EJ, as much as we care personally about your health, that's paramount to this show. I think the bigger thing is, what does Aaron Rodgers think he's walking back into? So, yeah, the Jets keep the season alive, and they're still in the thick of it. But why the heck would he want to come back off an Achilles at 40 years old to play on this team? I don't understand that.
There was that, and I do got to own up to Perloff being right about the NBA and the whole resting situation and the load management.
We're going cross-sport now. I like it.
I mean, we had freaking Jimmy Butler, and then now Joel Embiid, who was questionable with rest. And I was the guy saying that, hey, a lot of these guys are really injured. And, boy, they make me look stupid in about, 5 nanoseconds after the show was over.
Yeah, I like my analogy. It's like when you tell your teenage kids not to drink alcohol, you're telling the teams not to load management. And now all the teams want to do is load manage. 2 games in. I love the brazenness of this. I think it's actually more entertaining that NFL teams are giving the middle finger back to the front office there, the NBA. This is great. And if I'm a Sixers fan, I don't want to see Joel Embiid out there at all. I don't know why Sixers fans are getting mad on Twitter because Embiid was supposed to sit yesterday. Who cares? Rest that guy until March.
Pete, anything you want to own up to?
Yeah, I thought the Eagles would have their way with Washington yesterday, coming off that first time they had a scare with the Commanders.
Yep.
And then they totally did the same thing again, but won the ball game. So I thought the Eagles would dominate. So I'm owning up to the fact that they got away with it, but won a ball game yesterday again against the Commanders.
And it was the AJ Brown show. It was pretty amazing. By the way. Did you see Nance called them the Commodores yesterday? He wasn't on the game. He was doing the Bengals 49ers.
It's a better name.
Maybe they should have just went with Commodores. It feels like everyone's making that mistake. Just go with it.
Lionel Richie bobblehead doll day.
This is better than what they got.
I'm telling you, if you're a team out there, go for Montez Sweat. Do not go for Chase Young. I've watched Montez Sweat destroy the Eagles time after time. And if the Commanders, I assume they're trading everybody today, right? There's no reason not to hold on to any single player on that team.
No, I'd probably be starting over. Sorry, one more person I think we got wrong, Perloff, and maybe I'll speak for both of us here. Probably didn't expect Will Levis to throw 4 touchdowns in his debut. I mean, not that we weren't high on him or anything, but obviously he gets the embarrassment of the draft where he doesn't go in the first round. Titans end up trading up for him in the second round. But we're talking about, Titans trade Derrick Henry, trade DeAndre Hopkins, and then here comes Levis, who had a really nice day.
I refuse to put that in the what I got wrong category. Okay. Because not once did I say to you, Maggie, I don't think Will Levis is going to throw 4 touchdowns on Sunday. Never uttered those words. I didn't say he would throw 4 touchdowns. And the other thing, too, is I can't even believe this really happened. I'm not really registering Will Levis throwing bombs all over the field. We'll see next week. Right now, next Monday, if Will Levis throws 4 touchdowns again, I will admit I was wrong, but not until then.
I think, do they play Thursday, I think? Is it Steelers-Titans coming up this Thursday, or am I imagining things? No, I'm right.
You're right.
Titans at the Steelers, so we get to.
Well, he's not throwing 4 touchdowns against the Steelers.
Can I get another one, Perloff? I mean, I hate to do this. Can I call you out for another one? Season-long one?
No, you've already called me out for about 6 different things today.
I'm sorry.
Glad you're keeping track.
This is the segment to do it.
All right, what do you got?
Your love of Jordan Love.
No, I admitted in week 1 that's a disaster.
Okay.
But Jordan Love's still, by the way, worst first-half quarterback in the NFL. I think he's still the best second-half quarterback in the NFL by DVOA. He's still, even on Sunday, it looked like, oh, my God, here comes Jordan Love again. There's something going on with that team where they can't play in the first half and they're really good in the second half. Yeah, Jordan Love is not working. I will admit that. But excuses galore. I mean, they have no offensive line. They have 22-year-old wide receivers. They are in a full, total rebuild. Name one spot on that team that is solid, and you're not going to find it.
They've been outscored 73-9 in the first half of the last 5 games and have not scored a touchdown before halftime. In those last 5 games.
He's the number 1 quarterback in the entire NFL in the second half. He's the best.
I know, but this is not exactly the winning formula here. You know, those kind of comebacks, especially because he's a younger guy and he has a young team, you're not going to win a lot of games when you put yourselves in that kind of hole. Okay, you can beat the Saints and come back and beat them. Good for you. This is not going to work.
Name one position group, except maybe Aaron Jones when he plays a running back. Name one position group that is even par with the rest of the NFL. There isn't one.
Okay, I'm just saying that
they're young, they're rebuilding. Yeah, Jordan Love has not played well, but he has no chance. I don't think RODGERS couldn't even do anything with this team. They are really bad at pretty much every position.
855-212-4CBS. Shakira's on the line from North New Jersey. Wants to talk about the Giants. Good morning, Shakira.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
What's in your mind?
Well, I want to talk about the Giants. I'm originally from Indiana, but now I live in North Jersey. So I was a Peyton girly, and then I became an Eli girly, and now I'm stuck with the Giants. So to me, I think Brian Daboll has lost control of the team. Even before the QB injuries, the offense was very stale. It's been Wink Martindale's defense who sets up the scoring drives and keeps them competitive, although not perfect, especially at the end of the game yesterday. So my question to you is, what is the Giants' offensive identity, and how do they proceed, knowing that this season may not be salvageable?
Yeah, salvageable, no doubt. Shakira, great questions. They should put you in the front row of a Daboll press conference because I'd love to know his answers to this. The identity offense should be running the ball with Saquon Barkley, but the problem is they can't do that effectively. So that's part of it. You did lose Waller yesterday with a hamstring. They still clearly don't have enough weapons. And the quarterbacks are terrible. Whether it's Daniel Jones, he wasn't playing well. Tyrod Taylor gets knocked out, has to go to the hospital. And Tommy DeVito can't throw the ball. And they didn't want him to throw the ball yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, this year it doesn't matter at all. I think the big question for them is, are you going to draft a quarterback with Daniel Jones under contract, or are you going to try and get Marvin Harrison and fix Daniel Jones? You know the Giants, they always hold on to quarterbacks too long. So it's not even just a right now problem. I think it's a big picture problem. Are they ever going to do the right thing at quarterback?
It's loyalty to a fault over there with the Giants, and giving Daniel Jones that contract to begin with shows that you were loyal to a fault. And it's funny because it's a new regime, basically, not the guys who drafted Daniel Jones, but it is the same ownership. I mean, here's the thing about Daboll. It was a lot of one-score games last year that got them, that propped up their schedule and their record in the first part of the season. And he was the guy after Joe Judge, who was an abject disaster. So he got a little new coach bump, and he got a little luck. And now you're seeing when some of those factors maybe regress to the mean.
I think one of the things about Daboll as well that stood out to me yesterday, because the question about that last situation where you kick that field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 1.
Yeah, 4th and 1. They decide to kick a
37-yard field goal.
37-yard field goal. Graham Gano missed it, set up for the Jets, who had no timeouts, to come back down the other way and kick a game-tying field goal, and the Jets won in overtime.
And I think the logic behind kicking the field goal, I understand, but I think to Shakira's point, the caller, there is an issue with what is Daboll's coaching identity. Because last season, remember, week 1, it's, I'm going for 2. I'm going for it. He had that meeting, with the team before the game saying, I'm always going to trust you guys, and we're going to go out there. We're not going to coach scared. We're not going to play scared. And I feel like the Daboll team we've seen this year, coaches scared, plays scared, also really undisciplined, bad penalties. Like, Daboll's team last year was super buttoned up. Like, it just seems like the entire identity of what the Giants did well last season, they've gone the complete opposite. And I felt like that decision was a great example of Daboll kind of going back from what he had been as a head coach just last season.
Okay, I'm going to give him a pass on this one. You've got Tommy DeVito, who can't throw the ball. And I know you should be able to get a yard no matter what, right? Tush, push, do whatever, get a yard. But I kind of understood it because you're on a third-string quarterback, and he's just not an NFL quarterback. So for that, I get it. The thing, though, about Daboll and the whole Giants, they thought they added Darren Waller and, Paris Campbell in the offseason and wanted to pat themselves on the back. Like, hey, guys, mission accomplished. We did this. They didn't do anything. And meanwhile, Daniel Jones had unprecedented health last year in a contract year. Now he's back again with the same neck injury that kept him out for the majority of the season 2 years ago. Everything went right for the Giants last year, and they fooled themselves into thinking, no, we're this good. And they weren't. They were lucky. And they ran into the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs, the one team luckier than them last year. They beat them. They fell into this false hope that they were this really great team, or they tricked themselves into thinking they were this really good team, and they're not.
But coming into the season, Vegas was way down on them, had them at 6.5 or 7 wins. I think everybody knew the Giants weren't good. Did the Giants actually think, you guys follow them closer, did they actually think they were good, like going to be in the playoffs?
I think they thought they were going to take a next step forward.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but
I think the Giant brass, I think a lot of the people following the Giants were really excited about the season. They felt like the only thing we were missing last year were weapons. And as Maggie said, Darren Waller, who's always hurt, he's hurt again. He couldn't finish the game this past week. Paris Campbell, who played with the Colts but really wasn't much of an impact player. They saw those moves as moves that were going to just completely revamp the team because they had such bad at skill players last season. They said, how could we're at the bottom. So we're going to be even a little bit better at skill position. That's going to take us to another level. But as Maggie said, there were so many things that went their way last year. There was no way they were going to have that kind of luck again.
it was crazy. I think 2 teams, I think it was only 2, might have been more, who lost the turnover battle and still won the game. One was the Jets yesterday, who had 2 turnovers but still won, and the other was Jacksonville, who had 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and the interception, and still ended up winning the game on the road. It's really hard to do. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, one of our favorite things around here. So we're still all getting to know each other. Terrible national anthems. Oh. It's so bad. So bad it's good. You'll hear it next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie, I missed something in what I got wrong. I completely forgot about this. I completely forgot about this because I think I was in denial. I, in a million years, would not have predicted that the Philadelphia Eagles would fumble the ball on a brotherly shove play.
Finally.
But
Finally, that play doesn't work every single time, just automatic.
Yeah, but I think it's going to work moving forward. They were sort of playing with their food with Washington yesterday. They left about 25 points on the board. And then later on, they had a tush push, and they actually ran a running play to the outside off of it, which is completely unstoppable. I think it is the key to the entire Eagles' success, honestly, because they basically had a 1st and 10, they have 1st and 9. They could just get close. And I don't understand why every team doesn't do it, Maggie, but I feel like a lot of teams are getting closer.
That gave me hope more than anything I've seen in a long time. Like, if they can fumble the tush push, maybe there's a shot in hell that play won't just be 100 out of 100. Like, thank goodness.
Why?
Maybe
What do you
NFL
care
won't
about?
outlaw it if it's shown that it can be stopped.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's your best shot at the NFL keeping it around is to fumble every now and then, have it be stopped every now and then, and maybe the competition committee can't torpedo it to the sun.
But Maggie, what do you care about the tush? But what do you care about the Eagles? They have nothing to do with your team.
I think
the
it's
aesthetics.
I
What's
think
the
it's
problem?
a cheat code, and I don't know why, but other teams seem to get hurt when they do this, except for the Eagles. And I like the fact that they are kind of, they're using the sort of cheat code, and it's annoying to watch, even if you have no rooting on.
It's not like the Patriots who are spygating and deflategating. There's nothing cheating about it.
It feels cheap. If it's not cheating, it feels cheap because most teams, when you go for it on 4th down, you actually have to have your heart pumping a little bit. Like you might not get it.
It's like when you play Madden and, you're cheesing one play. Like, when you play Madden and the play that always works. And it's like, come on. Like, we know that play works.
We know you can do it.
Yeah, like do something else.
Right. It was
or if you're playing
the
like
Bo Jackson.
Run a play, you cowards.
Or you're playing Street Fighter, you just keep using the same move, the leg sweep. Like, you do those things. It's like, all right, we get it.
Anybody play Tecmo Bowl? Because there's 2 plays. There's Cap Boso and Bo Jackson, the 2 unstoppable Tecmo Bowl plays. We all use them. It's part of the game. I think there's nothing wrong with the Eagles using a little push.
There is everyone else except for Eagles fans were so happy that thing finally fumbled. Like, haha, the only thing is you still won the game. Okay, more than a tush-push fumble, the other thing that we love around here is bad national anthems. This one came courtesy of Flavor Flav, who was at the Bucs game.
Oh, say... can you see by the dawn's early light
Oh my gosh, make it stop.
What so proudly we hailed.
I think we got it.
At the twilight's last gleaming.
Okay. He's holding every note forever. Why was he milking it that much? Flavor Flav clearly is not getting the attention that he needs because he wanted to be up there for 20 minutes.
Explain the connection to Milwaukee. I didn't get that.
Well, the Milwaukee Bucks, I mean, remember a couple years ago, they had the Ja Rule 90s night where they couldn't get the music playing. The crowd didn't seem to care that Ja Rule was there. So clearly the person who does booking maybe likes hip-hop and is trying to get Milwaukee into it so they keep getting these random acts. I have a theory on why he was booked.
Okay.
Because I cannot a lot of people cannot understand this. I think because when the announcer, introduces Flavor Flav, he says, Grammy Award-winning artist, Flavor Flav. I think maybe the person who booked them, was, maybe Flavor Flav reached out to him for whatever reason because he thought this would be a viral moment. And then he probably pushed saying, hey, I'm a Grammy Award-winning artist. I've won X amount of Grammys. I'm part of the Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And they probably said, oh, well, look, he's a Grammy Award-winning artist.
He must be a good singer.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he be good? And they just booked him not knowing who Flavor Flav was.
It's a good theory, but the problem with that theory is the internet exists, so you could just look up and be like, I wonder what Flavor Flav sounds like. And no one would ever think that he's a good, classic singer.
But someone told you you were a Grammy Award-winning singer or just artist.
No.
I think you would assume that they were good.
EJ, your instinct that people do not know hip-hop in certain quarters is absolutely accurate, but everybody knows Flavor Flav. There's
He's
not
crossed over.
Yeah, that is one guy who there maybe Snoop obviously number one, but Flavor Flav is in that discussion. Everyone knows who Flavor Flav is. But
the tepid applause too, when he.
But what I don't understand, you guys were talking about it like it was a bad decision. Do it again. Yeah, of course it was a great decision to book Flavor Flav. That was not a mistake. Who normally sings? Do we know who normally sings? It's usually like a fireman or something.
No, but a fireman. But here's the thing. Why didn't Flavor Flav just do his own rendition?
You rap or do something.
Do something creative. Don't just try to sing this like you're Pavarotti. That's not going to happen. You're not.
Well, as I recall, Flavor Flav does not have great rapping skills either, does he?
He's not really a rapper. He's a hype man. He's not
right.
So I don't know what a Flavor Flav rendition of the national anthem would sound like. It'd just be random ad libs, which probably would still be entertaining, but I don't know if it'd be more entertaining than this.
DJ, he's a Grammy Award winner.
Yeah. But I also think the national anthem, I think, is one of those things, and the reason why he probably won't sing, because I think it is the training ground. If you want to show somebody you can sing, you try the national anthem. Most people know the words you're trying to sing it, though I know some people have messed up the words.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how the song goes. Everybody knows what a good national anthem sounds like. It's almost like the bar. It's the standard. So I think Flavor Flav and other people who have tried it and
below
failed,
the standard.
They think, hey, if I can sing the national anthem, I can tell people I can sing.
So I've talked to a couple musicians about this who have done it. They all don't like it. Not they don't like the song, but that it's an incredibly difficult song to sing and that it's really nerve-wracking. Yeah, your guy, Darius Rucker, told me that once.
Darius Rucker said it was hard to sing the national anthem. I feel like he could do that easily.
Well, he makes it look easy, but it's not an easy song to sing.
Gosh, I'm surprised. I feel like everyone can sing that song. Not me. I would be even worse than Flavor Flav.
Well, I don't think the Bucks are going to be booking you anytime soon.
The other thing, too, is if you get the words right, then you're okay.
I don't know.
I think getting the words wrong makes you. I don't know if Flavor Flav goes in the same category as Carl Lewis because of that. I think Flavor Flav will be fun for this month. It's not going to be an all-time bad, is it?
Well, let's hear Carl Lewis is an all-time bad.
Oh, say, can you see? And the Rockets, I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
The crowd's so uncomfortable.
Uh-oh. It's a great. Yeah,
He'll make up for it like he's in a race, like closing speed.
It's not even the voice. When you lose the words, can you imagine the panic of singing the national anthem and not knowing what line comes next? The best ever was when then Portland Trailblazers coach Mo Cheeks came out and helped the little girl who got lost on the national anthem.
That was nice of him to do.
Yeah, because it's got to be the worst feeling in front of 18,000 people to not know what line is coming up next and try and make something up on the spot.
You and I were both at the Super Bowl where Christina Aguilera got the line wrong.
What did she say again?
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. What so proudly we watched at the twilight's last streaming.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was like everyone in the crowd was like, oh no.
Yeah. The Christina Aguilera lyrics were, she said, what so proudly we watched at the twilight's last gleaming, which is not right.
Maybe she was in on it, They have those props and stuff.
That sounds okay to me. What? That's close enough. What is the actual line?
Nothing matters.
What was the actual line?
The actual line is supposed to be, or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. She said, what so proudly we watched at the twilight last gleaming.
It doesn't matter with her. She could sing the Canadian national anthem. It wouldn't matter.
Me and Bilal
That's
are
a great
okay.
song.
By the way, I don't even know which one was right of the two you read.
What so proudly we watched.
I'll make up for it now.
Oh, man. Adam's in Vancouver. Adam, what's going on this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you today?
You're doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. My Dolphins won, so I'm happy.
What do you got? What do you got on the
I'm going to bring you
anthem?
guys a little bit of Canadian content here. I don't know if you remember, but back in the mid to late 90s, this Canadian Football League had teams all over the States. And there was a team in Las Vegas called the Las Vegas Posse. And when they opened their season, the singer, I can't remember who he was, but he sang the Canadian national anthem to the tune of "Oh Christmas Tree."
Adam, all right, you've alerted us to it. EJ's on it. Thank you for the call. We will effort that right now, but Bogusch has some headlines for us. Good morning.
Good morning. The Miami Dolphins continued their assault on the record book yesterday with the Patriots in town.
Second down and a long 5 to go. Play action fake back to throw to a deep downfield.
Touchdown.
He's got Tyreek for a touchdown.
What a throw. My gosh, he put it right on the money off a fake. Tua throws a perfect pass to Tyreek Hill. It was a matter of time. Everybody was cheating up a little bit. What a throw.
As heard on Finn's radio, 2 with 3 touchdown passes, 1 to Hill, 8 grabs for 112 yards total, becoming the first receiver in the Super Bowl era with 1,000 yards in the first 8 games of a season.
MVP, it's on. I mean, it's not going to be Tua. I think Tyreek Hill is the strongest MVP candidate on that team. We all in the same boat there?
Yeah, just they always give it to the quarterback. So.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything like this. You can't lay off him. You can't come up on him. I saw what the announcer was talking about. They were setting up that Tyreek Hill touchdown the entire game. There's nothing to do against him. He's unbelievable.
Now, defensively from this 31-17 victory, Jalen Ramsey made his season debut following summer knee surgery, picked off a pass to kinda impress head coach Mike McDaniel.
Well, he totally disappointed me. He called that he was going to come back and have a pick 6. Not a pick field goal.
Ramsey picked off Mac Jones deep in Dolphin territory. A pick 6 looked possible, but space down the sideline disappeared, so the offense settled for that field goal. The Chargers scored in their first 5 possessions of Sunday Night Football. They had a 24-7 halftime lead on the Bears. They won 30-13. Head coach Brandon Staley thought those first 30 minutes were great.
I thought it was clean football. There were no turnovers, no sacks, no penalties outside of the first, DPI. And then, you get the result. You get a 24-7 lead.
Justin Herbert threw 3 touchdowns. Bears rookie QB Tyson Bagent with 2 picks. We're waiting on confirmation on Kirk Cousins' torn right Achilles. Steeler QB Kenny Pickett and Giants QB Tyrod Taylor suffered rib injuries in losses to the Jaguars and Jets. And Matthew Stafford hurt his right thumb in the Rams' 43-20 drubbing in Dallas. That's 11 straight home wins for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdown passes, 2 of them to C.D. Lamb. Maybe he only had 11 points, but maybe his team lost by 30 last night, 123-83 at the Clippers, but Victor Wembanyama already Rookie of the Year when it comes to leadership.
It's not about how bad the struggles are going to be, but how persistent we're going to be. This works for whole seasons, but now it's just the beginning of the season. It's just one loss.
Brandon Miller ain't leading the Hornets like that. That was Wemby's first road game. De'Aaron Fox.
It's early, Bogus. Relax.
De'Aaron Fox had 37. Malik Monk scored 11 in overtime to get the Kings a 132-127 W over the Lakers. Joel Embiid did get over some sleepiness, played the Sixers home opener, 35 points, 15 boards, 7 assists, and 6 blocks in a 126-98 rout of the Blazers and the Warriors 106-95 winners in Houston, with Chris Paul coming off the bench for the first time after 1,365 career starts. The World Series now in Arizona after a split in Texas. Brandon Pfaadt throws the first pitch of Game 3, 8:03 Eastern tonight. The Rangers countering with Max Scherzer. Outdoor hockey last night, the Oilers topped the Flames 5-2 in the Heritage Classic in Edmonton, and FIFA has suspended the former head of the Spanish Soccer Federation, Luis Rubiales, for 3 years for all of his behavior after winning the Women's World Cup over the summer. That, of course, lowlighted by kissing player Jenny Hermoso. Rubiales is also facing criminal charges in Spain for the kiss and for allegedly pressuring her family to change their stories. Guys, back to you.
Criminal charges.
Yeah, that was the thing that actually got him to finally resign, was she went to the police, they filed charges, and then he goes, okay, I'll step down now. And now he can't do anything soccer-related for 3 years.
Yeah, well, that seems about right. But the criminal charges, I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, not sure how that will play out.
Yeah.
But they exist at the moment.
Crazy. Andrew Bogish, thank you so much. EJ has located the sound. This is a this is a rendition of "O Canada," where the national anthem singer did "O Christmas Tree."
From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Wait, maybe he was just trying to do like a holiday thing. You know?
I mean, this was done in 1994.
Was it December, though?
That's a good question. I don't know. But this is wild to me.
Did they invade after this?
Well, maybe, let's be honest. I mean, this was done in Las Vegas, and this was a Canadian football game. Like, apparently, I didn't know this. The CFL tried to expand into the U.S., and they went into random cities, and one of them was Las Vegas. So this was their way to maybe, I don't know, again, maybe plant their flag.
But I think Flavor Flav did a terrible rendition of the national anthem, which is what started this whole thing. Like, if he had just Flavor Flaved it up a little bit, maybe this would be better. Maybe that guy was just Christmasing it up.
Well, "O Canada" and "O Christmas," that's the same song. I have no problem with that. That was pretty close. If you guys heard that at a Las Vegas football game, you would probably think, okay, that sounds enough like the Canadian anthem.
From far and wide, O Canada.
I mean, to be fair to myself, I'm usually blacked out when I'm in Las Vegas, so I don't know if I know anything that was going on. Just kidding.
No, you're not.
I'm partially kidding.
You got to change up the lines at least. The song part's not terribly off, but there's more than one line to the Canadian national anthem.
There is? There's beyond "O Canada"? Name one line, except for the ones that you just heard right there.
God, keep our land.
Yeah.
By the way, this game was on July 16th, 1994.
Right. Christmas in July.
So he really just inserted Christmas in
He's like
July,
the Hallmark Channel, you know, when they do all the Christmas movies in the middle of July.
But was this an American guy making fun of Canada?
That is a good question. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this guy.
I'm telling you, he was blacked out. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you. Coming back, why Aaron Rodgers should think twice about making a comeback this year. We've got that for you. More reaction from yesterday as well. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone. AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone restrictions apply. Back on Maggie and Perloff. Strange day in college football on Saturday. A lot of teams on the road, scared everybody. One team lost, Oklahoma. But of course, I stayed up. Actually, it wasn't that late. 7:30 Eastern. UCLA, Colorado. That was an ugly, ugly game. UCLA won, but managed not to cover miraculously. DEION. So now they're 4-4. Questions: will they become bowl eligible? I know you're still into this.
Well, first we got to get the Daily DEION.
Yeah.
Daily. Do you believe that? DEION. You believe that?
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Well, this is the quote that's making the rounds. Deion Sanders saying Colorado needs to get some new offensive linemen.
I just asked that in terms of the big picture, trying to keep Shedeur upright, healthy. The
big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. I'm going to paint it perfectly.
I mean, listen, Deion's kind of been saying this for a while, that they're a couple offensive linemen away, but it did rub some people off the wrong way that he would put this on the players when generally the coach is the one who kind of wears it.
Yeah, no,
takes
but
the blame for their
kind of been
team.
doing this all year long.
Yeah.
I mean, he walked into Colorado and told every existing player that you're terrible. You know, Herbie had an interesting point during the game. He said that it's harder to do the kind of things. Deion's getting all these stars in there. Travis Hunter, all these outside players who can get NIL money. He said offensive linemen don't work the same way. He's worried that maybe the Deion charm will not work on the 320-pound offensive lineman because they can't get the NIL money that the other guys get.
But they can't get NIL money at Colorado? Why not?
Well, because NIL money, I know this sounds naive, is still tied to marketing. I don't think that you're going to give an offensive guard $2 million a year, whereas Shedeur is probably making $7 or $8 million this year. I just think that offensive linemen might be interested in the NFL, might go to the SEC. Honestly, like Deion, if you're an offensive lineman, are you attracted to Deion? You want sort of a grittier guy. If I'm a wide receiver, I'm going to Deion.
I don't know. If I want attention and if I want lots of people to be watching my games, I mean, I think Deion Sanders would definitely be an attractive spot to go to as opposed to playing at Northwestern. Like, I don't understand. Are you going to actually get more money at one of those places? Don't you go generally where the money is?
I don't think you're going to get NIL money for playing offensive line in Colorado. I think you'd probably get more at Georgia or Alabama and get to the pros.
Okay, well, I mean, Georgia and Alabama are going to give you a lot of, perks over Colorado right now. But
why?
Who's to say?
If you're a wide receiver, you have to go to Colorado because you're going to get so much attention. Nobody can name an offensive lineman on Colorado.
Well, that's the point.
They're anonymous guys.
He needs new. He needs more. I always thought it was the collective, like the boosters, essentially, that decide where do we need to put the money, and let's put the money towards offensive line. All right, now the money's going towards the offensive line.
Because there are a lot of, and I don't want to call them fake, but they're kind of fake NIL companies.
But Deion is not. Deion has had 2 ads with players. He says, I'm going to get you into ads. So he has one with the running back, and then he has one with his son on Wendy's. I think Deion's saying, I'm going to get you in big commercials. And no offensive lineman in the history of college football has ever gotten a commercial. No, it just doesn't happen.
There's other ways to get money. Listen, I trust that Deion could get me a commercial over any other coach in college football. Like, who else could actually make good? I don't even know if he's offering that, but who else could make good on that? Deion would be the one guy.
Gosh, I really agree with Herbie on this one. I think offensive line's not going to be as easy to build as all the other positions for him.
I disagree. I think if they want offensive line, they're going to go after offensive line. And why would I doubt Deion so far? He's gotten all these other big players. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, Niners have lost 3 in a row. Why there's reason to be concerned.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Could be time to start worrying about the 49ers. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 3 losses in a row for San Francisco. Perloff, they should not be immune to criticism. People are like, oh, the 49ers, they'll be okay. They'll be right there. How do you know? They started 5-0. They've lost 3 straight. They have not looked the same. Any other team, we would be asking questions about them. We asked questions about the Bengals, who beat them yesterday when they got off to slow starts. We asked questions about the Cowboys. If this was your Eagles, we'd be asking questions. If it was my Bills, if it was the Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers should not be above reproach here when the defense does not look as ferocious as it did in their 5-game winning streak. And the offense, again, 2 more interceptions from Brock Purdy. That's 5 in the last 3 games. That's more than all of last season. There are just undeniable things going on with this team as it's lost 3 straight.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think we differ on this is I don't think Purdy is the reason they've lost 3 straight. I know there's been interceptions, but yesterday, for example, he's coming off a concussion on a short week. Probably shouldn't have been playing. But in the first half, he was absolutely perfect. I mean, he did everything they could possibly ask and so much more. But they were still losing the game, and they honestly couldn't get the ball out of the Bengals' hands. The Bengals gave them a couple chances to stay in it. To me, it's a defense. And the amazing thing about them is the first drive. They're getting killed on the first drive. That's when San Francisco used to own the game. Were they up in their 10-game win streak last year? It felt like they were up 14-0 in every single game.
Yep, that's
they
right.
have been falling behind early, and they're just not built to do this. They're not built to rely on their quarterback. Jimmy G won a lot of games there. He was never the reason they won.
Right.
So I don't think that the Niners have a quarterback problem. I think they have a team problem. I agree with you on that. That being said, I think the bye week is going to be huge. I think Brock Purdy will get over his concussion. I don't know why he's out there in the first place. I think Debo will be back. Debo adds so much toughness to this team. The schedule's a little tricky, for sure. But Debo just gives you so much attitude and swag on offense, and that was clearly missing the last 3 games.
Listen, we'll see what happens when they come out of the bye. Their next 7 opponents, only 2 have losing records right now, so they don't have like this easy. It's not like they have, here comes a soft spot in the schedule or something like that. They're playing a first-place schedule, so it's going to be difficult. But again, you got to just go with what you're seeing here because I think the 49ers – and maybe this is a benefit they should get, a benefit of the doubt, but they get by a lot on reputation. Kyle Shanahan, the best, play caller in the NFL, one of the best coaches in the NFL. Well, I mean, not immune to things going wrong, offense, defense, and his coaches also coming into question. Shanahan is responsible for all of it. If Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator, is not calling the right type of defense, in some ways, that's got to be Shanahan too, right? He's going to coach the coaches as well.
I don't see this like that at all. I think San Francisco's arguably been the biggest overachiever in the league the last 3 years. I mean, last year, he took a team that lost 2 quarterbacks to the NFC title game. What coach does it? I think he was arguably the coach of the year by far last year. 2 years ago, their team was way down, and then they stormed out of nowhere in the playoffs and beat a good Cowboys team and should have beaten the Rams team. And the Super Bowl year, he had Jimmy G at quarterback who's not even that good, and he got him to the Super Bowl. So I feel like Kyle Shanahan's actually doing more with less, especially last year. He took Mr. Irrelevant and won 10 games in a row. This has got to be on the coach. You say benefit of the doubt. I think it's pretty incredible. He has not had Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, and he's still been incredibly successful.
Okay, so they obviously hit with Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant, so I guess you get credit for that, but they totally missed with Trey Lance, so it's not like they've been perfect here with quarterbacks. They have one of the best left tackles and offensive lines. So that you're saying that
not yesterday, but yes.
Okay, but devoid of talent, that's just not even close to being true. They have all of these weapons where you think they could sustain an injury or 2. On defense, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, they just paid a ton for, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner. I mean, these Hufanga, Lenore, the other cornerback. These guys, this is stacked. This isn't doing more with less. This is a team that's ready to win, and the fact that they've lost 3 straight, and especially the last 2, can't blame weather. And they got sliced and diced by quarterbacks. Joe Burrow yesterday, Kirk Cousins the week before. It's just, you got to see with your eyes here. They're just not playing well.
Well, I think the reason, though, that they're still the NFC favorite is because the last few years they burned Vegas. I mean, nobody saw them coming. Every time they were like, oh, the Niners are down coming to the playoffs. The Niners are down, or the Niners lost their quarterback. And then they just figure it out. So I think you bet against the Niners at your own risk. Maybe this year is different, but it kind of feels like the last few years. They're up and down. They're injury prone. And I do think you're underestimating not having Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. It's not, you are seeing something with your eyes, but you assume, I think a lot of people assume this is not the full Niners experience. That being said,
Trent Williams was there last week and 2 weeks ago.
No, I don't think
he was in and out of the lineup, but it's not that he was not totally out.
I think are you positive that he was there?
I thought he played last
I thought
week.
he missed one game before this. But anyway, regardless, I do think not having Deebo has been a huge, huge downgrade. Cost them big time the last 2 weeks because he can do so much for that offense.
But you have McCaffrey.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You have McCaffrey. You have Ayuk. You have Kittle. Yes, you're missing Deebo. It's the NFL. Guys are missing all the time. You're going to get injuries, and you still have other Pro Bowlers.
All right.
I don't think they get excuses here. I think this looks bad. There's still plenty of dudes on this team, and the defense is totally healthy. I mean, guys are banged up, but people aren't missing time.
And for a team that's supposed to be so star-studded as well, I think if you're going to make excuses for a team, this would not be one of them for missing one guy or two guys.
Trent Williams did miss against Minnesota. He was there for Cleveland.
So I think you guys are betting against the Niners at your own peril because we've all done this before. I think the Niners are going to be really tough down the stretch if everyone's there. Now, the question is, will McCaffrey stay healthy? McCaffrey's on the field and all these guys are there. They're still going to be formidable. And the NFC is a big jumble. It's a mess. I think the four teams at the top, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Niners, and the Lions are all equal. So unless somebody really emerges as unbeatable, the Eagles have the best record, but they've shown a lot of flaws the last few weeks. So I think the Niners, if they get everybody healthy on the same field, are going to be very tough.
Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on the 49ers, 855-212-4CBS. 3 losses in a row. Is it time to worry? Let's do a little something we like to call the hurry up offense. All right, 30 seconds on the clock. Yep. We realized with this segment we were going a little long, so EJ now has an air horn that will get the point across.
Just to preview what that's going to sound like. No reason to not
Good morning, everybody.
What the clock is on this. Okay, so we begin in New York, what I'm calling the fail bowl between the Giants and the Jets. Jets win 13-10 in overtime.
The story of this game was the punts. 24 punts, 17 of them came on 3 and outs. This is bad football being played in terrible weather against 2 teams that both don't have a lot of hope right now.
Yeah, I think the story of this game is how many people made the same joke about Tommy DeVito being in there and how Danny DeVito ended up with more passing yards. I've never seen a joke repeated more on my timeline. I watched a little bit of the overtime. I'm glad I didn't watch more. This got to be the worst game in the entire NFL season.
All right, you beat the timer there. All right, let's go to Dallas, where the Cowboys beat the Rams 43-20.
CeeDee Lamb is a true wide receiver number 1. I was watching that game, and I said, oh, man, my prop should have been CeeDee Lamb on the over because he hit it in about 8 seconds. Then again, the game was home, and the Rams, I think, are beginning the descent into it's not going to happen this year. So I have a huge grain of salt with that win. It was impressive, but it does not necessarily mean to me that they are the number 1 team in the NFC now.
I like the Cowboys. I like this win for them. It was dominant. However, don't let this lull Jerry Jones to sleep. You should still
like
be active.
Came quicker than the first game.
You still be active at the trade deadline and try to get another weapon. Okay.
All right, moving to the next team here. We got Vikings 24, Packers 10. They do lose Kirk Cousins in the win.
That's the story of this game. Kirk Cousins leaves torn Achilles, reported by Adam Schefter, done for the season. And just as the Vikings were turning a corner, they lost Justin Jefferson, but they were able to hold the fort because of Jordan Addison. Now you're at a crossroads with no quarterback, but you still have playoff hopes alive?
I'm only saying this because Maggie pointed out 8 things I had wrong throughout the show. I did tell you the Vikings were going to be back in the playoff picture, and they were going to coast. This is the best season he's ever had. 103.8 rating. This was really, I think everybody was sad for Kirk Cousins yesterday.
I feel like this horn is about 5 seconds long. It needs to be.
Anyway, so we got the Titans beating the Falcons in Will Levis's first start, throwing 4 touchdowns.
Will Levis, 3 touchdowns of at least 50 yards each. I mean, hello, NFL.
One was off his back foot. Was that the craziest throw? Like, did we know Will Levis could do this? I think Will Levis is partially a runner, not necessarily accurate. If he plays like this, that's a stupid statement. If he plays like this the rest of the season, not only are the Titans not tanking, they're going to the playoffs.
I know. Well, and that's the question for any team who are looking to try to pluck Derrick Henry off of this roster or DeAndre Hopkins off this roster. Now maybe you have a little something here with Levis. Possible.
All right, let's go to the next game here. We have Saints going into Indy, beating the Colts 38-27.
Okay, I said this to Maggie earlier today and didn't get any traction. Are we not talking about Taysom Hill as the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL a little more? Threw a 50-yard bomb that was very controversial because the Saints guy and the Colts guy caught it simultaneously. Then he caught a 14-yard pass, made a key block on a touchdown run. That dude is everywhere. I'm all about this. Derek Carr, Taysom Hill. The announcers don't seem to know which one is throwing at any time. Let's go Saints.
I'm still Taysom Hill is Derek Carr's stunt double.
Yes, exactly.
The numbers, like a 4 kind of looks like a 7.
Wait, Maggie, give that Colts stat again.
Yeah, the Colts are the only team in the NFL who have scored at least 20 points in every single game, win or loss.
What?
How?
What?
Doesn't make any sense. Okay.
All right, let's go to the next game here. We have the Dolphins beating the Patriots at home 31-17.
I thought this was impressive. Perloff was not impressed. I thought the Dolphins, after losing to the Eagles, come back and have a big win against the Patriots. This snuffed out any hopes that the Patriots were actually going to turn their season around. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Could have the top pick. Dolphins scared the bejesus out of me, and Jalen Ramsey is back and had a pick.
Mac Jones, 19 for 29, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It's over 161 yards. They handed the ball to him so many times in scoring position, he can't do anything.
All right, we got Jaguars going into Pittsburgh, beating the Steelers. Deontay Johnson, not too happy with this one.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson aired out the officials, said they're the reason why they lost. If you have to be airing out the officials, that means your team's not that good. Now, he might have had some gripes, but the Steelers are a type of team where everything almost has to be perfect for them to win. And when Kenny Pickett gets knocked out of the game, you can't get a signature last-minute drive from Kenny Pickett to try to pull one of these out.
Yeah, I like to tweet that said the one thing that Urban Meyer did for the Jags was draft Travis Etienne, and he is arguably the most consistent aspect of that offense. Trevor Lawrence is great too, but Etienne's my guy.
All right, let's go to the next game. We're going to go to the nation's capital, where the Eagles got a 38-31 win over the Washington Commanders.
Should have been 58. The Eagles had some red zone turnovers and some dumb plays. Jalen Hurts, explain to me how he's limping and yet has one of the best games of his career. Partly A.J. Brown helped a lot, but when he was targeting A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, he didn't miss a single pass. I was very encouraged as an Eagles fan.
No, the Eagles look awesome. Always get played tough by the Commanders, so you knew it was going to be a tight game, but finally, a fumble on the tush push.
Yeah.
There is a football god. Finally, it didn't work.
Rivera missed a key non-challenge.
That's true.
He's in big trouble. Big trouble. Like, Bieniemy is going to be a head coach this year.
Let's go to Carolina here, where Bryce Young got his first win. 15-13 Panthers win over the Texans. Number 2 pick, C.J. Stroud, taking the L here.
How about this? I'm not even going to talk about the quarterbacks. The back-to-back fouls on Houston trying to jump the snap for the game-winning field goal. This started off as a 37-yard field goal that after 15 yards of penalties became a 23-yard chip shot. And Carolina gets their first win of the season. That was crazy. The guy on Houston, you have got to time your jump better.
I liked his strategy because at the end he knew there was nothing to gain. So Pinheiro had to kick it 3 times, and I thought he was going to get nervous. That was like the Mac of the NFL. That did not feel like a real college high-end game.
Yeah, it was like Carolina's celebrating. It's like, congrats. I mean, you're off the schneid. But
well, they don't have their draft pick, so they desperately need to win.
Okay, got it.
Okay, let's get to our next game here. We're going to the 4 o'clock game. So we go to Seattle, where the Seahawks win 24-20.
That challenge, by the way, the Giants-Jets is the worst game of the weekend. That was a terribly played game for both teams, wire to wire. I did not like a thing I saw on either side.
For Seattle and for Cleveland?
Seattle jumped out to 17 points and then couldn't move the ball. They were both terrible. Geno holds on to the ball way too long. Cleveland with P.J. Walker, their offense is awful. I didn't think either team played well.
You still had good plays from Myles Garrett in this one. I thought, the Seahawks win this game. They're now in first place in the NFC West. And the uniforms were sick.
Uniforms were sick.
Yeah.
NFL teams, go to the 80s uniforms. Anyway,
Please.
back to these games here. We're going to go to Arizona here, where we have the Ravens beating the Cardinals 31-24.
Like all Cardinals games, this is tight until it's not. And then you had Baltimore pulled away. This is quiet now. I think Baltimore's on a 3-game winning streak now, and building and building and building, and Arizona had no answers.
Yeah, actually, that was definitely a comeback to earth for Baltimore, a little sense. Like, they came out super flat because they were so hot. I think it was hard for them to get up for that game. But Josh Dobbs, man, he threw some bad picks in that game.
Well, and the big news is that even though Kyler Murray is back at practice and cleared to play,
yeah, and then Gannon after the game said it. Yeah, Gannon after the game said they're going with Dobbs next week.
All right, let's go to the Mile High City, Broncos Nation. Let's ride. Broncos win 24-9.
Did you guys watch this game like I did and kept waiting for Kansas City to make their move and come back? Because Denver seemed uninterested in sealing the game away, kept Kansas City hanging around. That 5 turnovers, if they had won that game, it would have been the end of the Sean Payton era. But Sean Payton is now 3-6, and maybe they can do something.
I think they've won 2 in a row, right? The Broncos. Listen, Patrick Mahomes without the flu. Let's play this game again, and then let's see what happens. Also, if Taylor Swift had been there, they probably would have won by 3 scores.
Oh, big time. 3-5. Sorry, 3-5, not 3-6.
All right, let's go to the last 4 o'clock game we have here. We have Bengals going into San Francisco, winning 31-17 over the Niners.
Yeah, we've talked about this one a lot. I think there is something to be concerned about for the 49ers. Lost 3 in a row. Defense doesn't look as ferocious, and the offense can't put up more than 17 points. That's not a good recipe.
Totally. Explain to me, though, how is Brock Purdy leading the entire NFL in yards per attempt? Is that one of the most unlikely stats you've ever seen? It's him and Tua are 1 and 2. I think it's a lot of yards after the catch, but these are the 2 smallest quarterbacks, well, 2 of the smaller quarterbacks in the league. He did make some plays. Will you at least give me that for Brock Purdy?
He definitely makes plays. I just don't think he's the MVP, and Joe Burrow is all the way back.
And finally, we have our Sunday night football game. The Chargers take care of the Bears in SoFi Stadium, 30-13.
Yeah, they really tried to make the Tyson Badgett story like really big for us to even hang on after halftime. But, I mean, the Bears are totally overmatched here. But if I'm the Chargers, I'm not trying to take major victory laps over this one. Just because it was in prime time doesn't mean you're getting extra credit for this.
So we have some friends in the NFL scheduling office. I don't know what they were doing with this one. Chargers-Bears was destined to be a terrible game. I think they want to show off that stadium. I honestly think that's the only reason they put it there. And who tunes in to see a stadium?
Nobody. You guys remember we went to Vegas last year for the draft and you wanted to take the stadium tour?
Yeah, no, but that's supposed to be great. That stadium everybody loves and raves about.
Stadium tour, blackjack table. Like there's no, it's not even a question. It's if we were not in Vegas and we'd had nothing else to do, I would have taken the stadium tour.
Whatever, I'm going on that stadium tour. I need to see what's going on inside Allegiant.
Next, the Hoover Dam. I mean, it's Vegas. Play blackjack like everyone else. Craps.
Free drinks.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Pete gets it.
Oh, yeah.
Only time I've been in Vegas, well, twice, but the one main time was for NBA Summer League, and it was fantastic.
I bet you didn't take the stadium tour.
No, did not take a stadium tour of the Thomas and Mack Center.
I sat at the table once for 6 hours in Vegas.
Same table.
Same table. Didn't win anything. Didn't lose anything.
You went 50-50 after 6 hours?
Yeah, I actually did win and then lose all that, but I was even at the end of it.
You sat there for 6 hours and just came out even, Steven?
Yeah,
but you just
had
bet,
a good time.
Bet until you lost all the money at the end, right?
Yeah, but I went into there with like $50, and then whatever I went up, I went back down. So I was right.
You
back
made $50 last for 6 hours?
Yeah. I just had.
Were you playing at the Golden Nugget?
I think it was
$5 tables.
I think it was. I had some drinks and just relaxed. Had a good
what
time.
Hours of the day was this?
This was later in the day.
But it wasn't like midnight to 6 a.m.?
No.
Okay.
No.
So afternoon blackjack.
Yeah, you know.
As one does. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. There's your hurry-up offense. We actually stayed to the buzzer this time, so thank you. We need an air horn to keep us on track. Coming up, we do have more from college and what we saw on Saturday, including a massive upset. Get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. You know, we've been debating the San Francisco 49ers all day.
Yeah.
I'm not panicking. 3 losses in a row. They just need to make another massive trade like they did last year for Christian McCaffrey. And I'll tell you, one of the guys I'm sure they were eyeing is Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons. He would have, they're not going to get Surtain. So the Niners need help on the back end. And I think a lot of teams, the Lions apparently covet Simmons too. But now at 3-5, the Denver Broncos aren't going to give their players away.
Are you sure?
I don't think they are.
Because
I think
of this win against the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think Sean Payton is so prideful that he's not going to be able to look big picture. And I think they hold on to these guys. Jerry Jeudy, nobody wants. So maybe that's a different case. But I don't see a fire sale happening in Denver. 3-5 is not that far off, right?
I wouldn't overreact if I were a team from what you saw this week. Like, it was only 2-3 weeks ago that the Broncos basically like a defense that didn't want to try. I mean, you had a team that scored 70 on you. Like, that's just ridiculous.
It doesn't seem like that exists anymore.
Yeah. It's stupid. I
feel like that defense is somehow disappeared, and now they just held the Chiefs to 9 points.
Yeah, but you got to see, like, what was the real story behind that. Number one, it was probably an untenable winning streak that you were holding on to over the Chiefs anyway. EJ, what was it, 12 in a row?
It's 12 in a row. Patrick Mahomes was trying to become the first quarterback to ever start 13-0 against one opponent.
Yeah, like there's a reason that Brady was never able to do that or any of these other super dominant quarterbacks. It's incredibly hard to do. So you could say they were just like due for a win. And you had Mahomes who had the flu. And I believe he really did have the flu because he didn't look like himself.
But I think you could argue the Broncos defense was not the Broncos defense. They got Baron Browning back, who was a monster yesterday. He was their best player last year. So they're getting healthier. I think they're learning Vance Joseph's defense. Maybe that 70 was more of an aberration than holding the Chiefs to 9 because it's a couple good games in a row for their defense. They're at least not a defense that should allow 70 points.
Listen, this was a defense that coming out of the gate should have been a lot better. The only good thing about the Broncos last year was their defense. So the reason that they were struggled so much, I thought, was one of the biggest shocks of the Broncos. But no, come on. I feel like I was told by you and other people, Sean Payton needs to remake this whole roster, and he needs to start over.
He definitely does. He needs to start over quarterback, too, because Russell Wilson being a step slower is a gigantic problem for this team. So I just think that the way Sean Payton thinks, he's not going to be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to think 5 years down the road. He needs to win now because of pride. Remember he called out Nathaniel Hackett in the offseason? Don't you think he'd like to deliver a 500 season so at least not everyone's going to make fun of him?
Yeah, rub it in your face with a 500 season.
That would be great for this team.
Yeah, that'll get him. Teach him, Sean.
If the Broncos end up 8-9, wouldn't you say this is a successful year for Sean Payton?
Yeah, but again, like forest through the trees here. Like if you did actually sign the guy to be there and you traded for him and then signed him to do something a little more long-term, then if you can get assets at the trade deadline, you got to do it.
That would be the smart move.
Yeah.
What gives you any indication that's happening there?
Well, yeah, the Broncos aren't smart teams, so maybe they'll never be winners.
It also got lost in the shuffle that in Sean Payton's comments about Nathaniel Hackett, he also said that he'd be PO'd if this team didn't make the playoffs. So he put playoff aspirations onto this crap roster. So, no, I do not think 8 wins would be enough to kind of make this Sean Payton season look like a success.
Well, when you go 1-5 and give up 70 to the Dolphins, I think you lower the bar. I think 8-9, people are going to be throwing a parade in Denver with this team.
But they shouldn't. 855-212-4CBS. Two things that we didn't get to from the college football this weekend was, how about Kansas? Taking out Oklahoma, that was a wild game. They end up bringing down the goalposts at Kansas. Our guy, Lance Leipold, the coach there, last year beat Texas, this year beat Oklahoma. Not bad. He'll probably be, I hate to say it, but probably gone after this season to maybe one of those Big Ten openings that we expect to have. Northwestern, Michigan State have just been a couple that have been rumored for him. But amazing, amazing win and exciting. For Oklahoma, you still have a shot here because you'll probably play Texas in the Big 12 title game, and maybe you can still get into the college football playoff. But that was a wild one.
Yeah, Oklahoma was starting to get a little wobbly there. Kind of saw that coming. I don't think this was a shock by any means. Kansas, pretty good record. So there were a couple really bad calls. One where a guy didn't prove that he established himself in bounds. That was a catch. The other one was this roughing against the Kansas quarterback that kept the drive alive. So I think Oklahoma is going to say, you know what, we got a couple bad calls. It was on the road. They beat Texas. They're probably, if they get through the rest of the schedule, and get to Texas in the Big 12 title game, I still think the winner of that game probably gets in.
Yeah.
So it's not a total disaster. I mean, I don't see this as the kind of implosion where Brent Venables is in trouble or anything. I just think this is a game that Oklahoma is kind of waiting to lose.
The other side, you had how USC escaped with this win over Cal. They won 50-49, and it was basically a missed 2-point conversion inside of 1 minute left in the game. If Cal had just converted that, they probably win. I mean, USC rallied from deficits of 28-17 and 43-29. Cal was on their third-string quarterback, their fifth-string tailback, had 4 turnovers in the game, yet still managed 7 touchdown drives against USC's defense.
I'm starting to worry about USC's defense a little bit.
You think?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to let Cal do that. Don't they seem to have Washington and Oregon coming up next? I mean, what are we talking, 80 burgers against
Washington's
USC?
going to name the number. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well, Washington is talking about a team that's getting wobbly. Oh, man, did they let Stanford hang around. Again, the Pac-12, classic Pac-12. They are just cannibalizing themselves. Watch the Pac-12 get nobody in the Final Four. I mean, I think your Oregon Ducks have the best. They're clearly the best team right now.
Yeah, and they'll probably play Washington in the Pac-12 title game, right?
Yeah. Yes, but watch Caleb Williams go bananas and knock another team off, because Washington is flirting with a loss in a big way. I don't know. I just feel like the Pac-12 has too many good teams, and therefore somebody's going to lose 2 games, or maybe Oregon doesn't get in with 1 loss. Unbelievable.
Let's go to Andrew Bogusch. He's got headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. So the Niners' 3-game skid you've been dissecting all morning has led to a change atop the NFC West.
Pressure coming from Adams. And that's batted. And it is picked off. Julian Love, the interception at the biggest moment. And finally, Jamal Adams, when they needed it most, comes up with the deflection to set it up.
That's Adam Amin on Fox. The deflection was a headbutt on purpose from Adams, who said he got it from Messi. Julian Love corrected him, said it's more like Ronaldo. Yeah, I mean, he put his head in the path of the ball.
Oh, get out of here.
His hands were down on the wrist.
There's no way. I saw the announcer said that. No. Oh, come on. So he intentionally, why didn't he just use his hand if he knew exactly where the ball was?
His hands were engaged.
Oh, come on.
I will believe this until my dying day that was on purpose. He dipped his head into the path of the ball.
Oh.
Now, he couldn't have deflected if Julian Love 20 yards down the field, but he meant to put his head on it.
I will say this. I mean, I'm not someone to give Jamal Adams a lot of credit as a salty Jets fan, but this looks legit.
Yeah.
This looks real legit.
So you guys are actually impressed that Seattle, who was going against P.J. Walker, first of all, they needed Cleveland to miss a 3rd and short, and then they needed a last-second drive to win. This
team beat the Niners.
And no one said impressed. They're just in first place this morning because they only have 2 losses and the Niners have 3.
P.J. Walker was 15 for 31, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and those were a lucky 1 touchdown, 248 yards. He is not good.
I'll defend the Seahawks a little bit. I mean, we've talked all morning about how, Perloff, you're not worried about the 49ers when the 49ers lost to this exact same team in which Brock Purdy was completely inept. And here the Seahawks beat this team. I don't know how you could say this is unimpressive, but we can poo-poo the Niners losing to this team.
Okay, that's a fair point. But I was seriously worried. The Seahawks jumped out 17-7. Geno Smith, the first 3 drives, I don't think he had an incompletion. He was doing whatever he wanted. But he has this tendency, and we've seen it all year long, where as the game goes on, he tends to hold on to the ball and try and make plays and keeps the other team in the game, because there were massive sacks on him where he had to be back there for 6 seconds at certain times.
Well, weirdly, they kind of go away from the run games at times,
which
is definitely their bread and butter, and also a Pete Carroll team. So it's kind of odd to see them go away from it. But I like that. He was inspired by Messi. That's funny.
That's what he said. But Messi doesn't do that. He's not a header guy. So that's why I love him with the Ronaldo comparisons better.
All right. So it doesn't add up.
Patrick Mahomes apparently patient 0. He had flu-like symptoms yesterday in Denver. The whole offense then played like crap. 4 giveaways, settling for 3 field goals. There was a muffed punt as well on a 24-9 stinker against the Broncos. KC had won their last 16 meetings. Mahomes had won 16 consecutive road division games.
It is what it is. I mean, it's probably going to happen at some point. We try to do whatever we can to bounce back. That's all you can do. You got to learn from the mistakes that you made this game. try to be better.
Russell Wilson, 3 touchdown passes for Denver. Justin Herbert had 3 for the Chargers in a 30-13 rout of the Bears in L.A. on Sunday Night Football. Will Levis had 4 in his first career start. He and the Titans held off the Falcons 28-23. For all the Kirk Cousins jokes we like to make, the Viking locker room sure loves the dude. It was pretty heartbroken there yesterday with Cousins suffering a likely torn Achilles. Head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Whatever is the case, if we don't have him for one snap or for the duration of our season, that will not change the fact of what I believe Kirk Cousins, the level he played to this year, and ultimately what he's meant to me and our organization.
The Vikings already up 24-10 in the fourth when Cousins got hurt. That was the final score at Lambeau, extending the Packers' skid to 4. This morning, Green Bay has signed D-tackle Rashawn Gary to a 4-year extension with $36 million guaranteed. The New York Post says Giants QB Daniel Jones is now cleared for contact. In fact, he was cleared before yesterday's loss to the Jets. Now, Jones likely makes his return from his neck injury this weekend in Vegas.
Is that good news? I mean,
it's good news if Tyrod Taylor's still in the hospital. It's good news for not Tommy DeVito.
I know, but what's the motivation here for the Giants now? You're within striking distance of getting a shot at a top pick for a new quarterback.
Yes, but the upshot is Daniel Jones comes back and plays well, in air quotes.
Is that the upshot?
I think they got to get into the competition for Marvin Harrison. Can you imagine having Marvin Harrison, the first good Giants receiver
since Kenny Golladay?
Since ever?
Oh, wow.
Because I think they have to keep Daniel Jones next year. So you know how the Giants are. They're going to try and fix him. And what could fix a quarterback better than Marvin Harrison?
Oh, they tried this last time where they drafted Saquon Barkley to hang on to the last years of Eli Manning. How'd that go?
Well, yes, but Marvin Harrison is going to be a 10-time All-Pro. So I think if you get Marvin Harrison out of this whole mess, even if you have Daniel Jones or not, that's a pretty good solution. So I think the Giants can ease into that 4 spot in the draft. But they're not getting 1, are they?
Now with Daniel Jones.
I mean, I don't think...
they had one good half when he was playing, so it doesn't mean he comes back and they start reeling off wins here.
That is
They
true.
almost won a game with Tommy DeVito. I feel like they're not committed enough to tank. They just don't know how to do it the right way.
Also, you got to show some respect for your organization, too. I mean, you're going to have Tony DeVito, Tommy.
It doesn't matter.
You're going to have him out there every game the rest of the season. You have to have somebody that plays the games. So you're going to have Daniel Jones play and see where it goes. So I don't know how much you could do to tank other than trade Saquon.
Right, that's what they'll do. By tomorrow, they'll trade Saquon. They could trade a defensive lineman. But Jones is going to come back and play.
He needs to play. You need to play the games.
Yeah. Pete, by the way, guys, you don't know this. Pete is maybe the most anti-tanking person you're going to find.
I think it's the worst thing in sports.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst thing in sports. If people pay money to go see games, you should take care of your fans.
Wait, is it Saquon on the trading block? He's not, right? Isn't that the latest? Or?
That's what they said, that they told him that they wouldn't trade him. And then Dable said the other day, it's not even a discussion.
Yeah, then someone calls with a second-round pick. Oh, hey, Saquon.
It's like, all right, we'll have him at LaGuardia in 5 minutes.
Can we as fans...
Get the chopper.
Can we influence the NFL to trade Saquon Barkley somewhere interesting?
Where?
The Jets.
The Jets.
Cowboys.
You want to do Dalvin Cook straight up?
So McCaffrey went last year at this time. I think Saquon can do similar things. Cowboys, Ravens,
Bills.
Cowboys.
That's the team I'm thinking about.
Bills.
They won't use him.
He's pretty good out of the backfield. I think Baltimore is really interesting. Gus Edwards was on fire
That's
yesterday.
the best place, Baltimore.
Ooh, I think Buffalo's the best place.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo.
I'm with Maggie. I don't think they'd use Saquon Barkley.
Well, I think
What's
that's the follow-up.
They could have Barry Sanders back there. It's going to be Josh Allen running for his life on
Why
third
not the
eight.
Cowboys? The Cowboys need a first down back.
There's
no
zero
way the
chance
Giants
John
are trading with the Cowboys.
Yeah, zero.
Oh, yeah, that. Well, and then again, people have been doing that lately. People have been forgetting about the divisional issue.
Yeah, but we haven't had that since, Donovan McNabb getting traded from Philly to Washington. And usually, if that happens, usually you should be hanging up the phone because you're getting somebody who's probably washed, like Donovan McNabb was when he went to Washington.
Unless Jerry is really off the deep end and wants to give them something ridiculous for Saquon, that the Giants would just go, how could we say no to this? There's no way they're doing an in-division trade. No chance.
Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit for sure. I mean, they've had trouble keeping that position healthy. Man, this is what we want as fans. We need Saquon somewhere else.
Start the petition, change.org. Trade Saquon Barkley to the team that's fun.
Definitely the most important thing on that platform.
And I think you could
a Saquon Barkley petition.
You could get a second-round pick. You could get a second-round pick, especially as close as you get to the deadline.
You have to be okay with either franchising him again or
giving him Jonathan Taylor's contract.
Anywho, back to the headline.
Duke men's basketball just got a commitment for the nation's top recruit. That's Cooper Flagg. They're also in on the top 3 remaining high school seniors, so John Shire might be building the greatest recruiting class ever based on some rankings metrics. And it doesn't matter at all, but Rick Pitino and St. John's lost yesterday's exhibition game to Division II Pace 63-59. I mentioned this. I want to call them, they're the Pace Setters. That's their nickname. And they got $5,000 for this game, went to Queens, New York, and beat St. John's.
Can I say right now that this Cooper Flagg guy, I've never hated a college basketball player more in my entire life. It looks like Grayson Allen and Kyle Filipowski had a baby.
Oh, God.
He is the poster boy. He's got this haircut. He's the poster boy for every hateable Duke player in the history of mankind.
You're going to hate him because he can ball.
He's got this haircut.
That guy, he looks like a tall, skinny kid.
He is nasty.
And he's from Maine, right?
Yes.
Just adds to the background. A dude
Is
from
he
Maine.
a 7-footer or 6'11"?
6'8", athletic.
I'm dubious because of the haircut. You know what I'm talking about.
Connor Flagg?
Cooper Flagg.
Oh, Cooper. I'm like, it's not coming
He's
up.
ridiculous.
Cooper Flagg.
And he's the next one.
Yeah, he walks into the gym, looks like a 6'8" kid from Maine, and then just carves up
Is he
high-end
a
teams.
dunker?
He
a shooter?
He doesn't shoot a lot.
Okay,
everything's on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, he looks like Gordon Hayward, like second cousin.
Yeah, but like elite athletic Gordon Hayward.
He's already on the cover
Gordon
of
Hayward's
Slam
pretty
magazine.
athletic.
Though that's how he announced his commitment, was with that cover.
I don't
It was
know.
interesting. They gave John Shire an extension a couple days ago. We
Yep.
wondered why.
There you go.
I think now we know why.
Yeah, because he's got Maine on lockdown.
Chris
Maine.
Paul subbed for the first time in his career last night, coming off the bench for 8 points, 7 assists, and the Warriors' 106-95 win in Houston. CP3 started the first 1,365 games of his career, including the postseason. Those are the most games anyone ever started before coming off the bench for the first time. And our San Jose Sharks now winless in 9 games this season, 15 going back to last season, a 3-1 loss in Washington. Guys, back to you.
Wait a minute. This kid went to Monteverde Academy. It's
Yeah.
not like he was playing high school ball in Maine.
Well, he
which
did
Montverde,
before
yeah.
Montverde.
a lovely place to be, obviously.
Well,
But
Maine
this is-
Central is the powerhouse of all powerhouses, too. There's some high school ball in Maine.
No, I know there is, but this kid went to Monteverde, which is in Florida, right?
Yeah, Montverde's in Florida. Yeah.
It's like a famous
How many years
basketball
did he go
prep
there?
school.
I'm not sure.
was it a
but
one-year
they-
thing?
But R.J. Barrett went there. Ben Simmons went there. D'Angelo Russell went there. It's like the IMG Academy of basketball schools.
Yeah. It's Kyrie Irving's old high school coach is the guy there.
Right.
Al Harrington's old high school coach.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting Grady Dick vibes from this guy. I hate to say it. 6'8" white guy, number 1 overall recruit. I don't know. He looks skinny.
Was just a first round pick.
I don't know how because I
He won
saw
a national
him play.
title too, didn't he?
Yeah,
No,
but
he
did he
did
deliver
win
on being the number 1 player in the country? I think he scored 10 points a game.
Grady Dick was a good college basketball
Yeah.
player.
Yeah,
Why
But this
Grady
guy
Dick?
isn't the expectation for this guy the way you're describing him to be a superstar?
Yes.
This guy is not Grady Dick, and I like Grady Dick coming out of high school. Cooper Flagg is different.
I mean, obviously, I'm being a little shallow there.
Perloff, yeah, we noticed when you said you didn't like his haircut.
Wait till he's on the Sixers and he's Wembanyama times 3.
Thank you, Bogish. 855-212. For CBS coming up. Oh, we got the sound. You got to hear it. We're going to play it for you next. Don't move, Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Sad news about Matthew Perry over the weekend. It's funny because on an ensemble cast like Friends, he definitely was the funniest one. I mean, I think everyone had their favorite, but he was like unassailably the funniest guy. Best comedic timing.
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston, I think, was in that conversation too. It seemed like the two of them would trade off getting the biggest laughs.
Yeah.
Felt like also he could have starred in any sitcom where I'm not sure the other two guys could have.
Oh,
like Matthew Perry, to me, was going to get a sitcom. I told you I recently read his book. He had a really tough time with drugs and alcohol. seemed like he was turning things around, so it makes it even sadder.
He was also in a great movie called Fools Rush In with Selma Hayek. It was really good. Good rom-com.
Okay.
It was adorable. Very cute.
Great movie?
Good rom-com, Scratches the itch when you need like that kind of fun movie.
All right.
So that was really sad to see. On the flip side, this was something I just wasn't expecting to see. And that is, I did not know that Kim Kardashian's company called Skims is now the official underwear partner of the NBA. Guys, it's girdles. Y'all are wearing girdles now. Like, did you just get fooled? Did you not know? We call it shapewear, quote unquote, for women. It's girdles. So,
Maggie,
good luck with all that.
I got news for you. You might know more men who wear Spanx than you think.
No, come on.
It's been a huge trend.
Listen, this is the best part about being a dude.
Spanx has been selling to men hardcore the last 3 years.
No,
it's a huge trend.
You guys get to wear comfortable clothes no matter what. You don't have to do high heels. You don't have to do girdles. You can just be yourselves at all times. Nobody is holding you and conforming you to some beauty standard that is almost impossible to live up to. That's why women are wearing girdles. Y'all got it good, and you messed it up all on your own.
Also, the one of the athletes that signed with them last week was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the first NBA player to sign with Skims. And, I mean, he is as thin as
he doesn't need shapewear. Guys, you're doing this to yourselves.
He's got like an 8-pack.
Here's the Wall Street Journal article recently. Yes, men love Spanx. Here's why. Slimming men's shapewear is trending thanks to celebrity fans and the pandemic. Okay. Here's why it might be worth adding flat firming pieces to your wardrobe, even if you already have a good physique. So it makes you look better?
No, they're just trying to sell to more people. They're trying to convince skinny people now that you need girdles when they've already convinced people who might be, challenged in that area that they need girdles. They just need more buyers.
Are you guys pro compression shorts? I love compression shorts.
Yeah, I wear them almost exclusively.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Wear compression shorts and then be forced to wear them 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and then get back to me.
Well, yeah, but
you guys, I'm telling you, you're doing this to yourselves. It's all wrong.
On your legs, though, I don't think that's a girdle. That the way that
Oh, I don't know how high up they go.
Oh, but he's wearing.
Waist.
Okay, women it goes all the way up. Anyway, let's get to our shot of the day.
Oh God, that sounds awful.
Yeah, thank you. And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day comes from, we got a bad national anthem last night. The other thing that we love around here is bad national anthems. This one came courtesy of Flavor Flav, who was at the Bucs game.
What so proudly we hail.
I think we got it.
At the twilight's last gleaming.
He's holding every note forever. Why was he milking it that much? Flavor Flav clearly is not getting the attention that he needs. It was bad. With a little help of bloody.
It was not the worst. At least he got all the words. I'm giving Flavor Flav a lot of credit. Said it was a lifelong dream to sing the anthem at a basketball game. Why the Bucs? I have no idea. What about your Knicks, TJ? Why did they let Flavor Flav in the building?
I'm telling you, they saw a Grammy award-winning artist. They said, why not? Like, he's got to be good, right? They didn't realize Flavor Flav is a Grammy award-winning artist, but he's mostly just a hype man for Public Enemy.
No, they knew Flavor Flav had remember that Flavor of Love show that was on a few years ago? He's big time
I guarantee you it's some 24-year-old person, PR person that's working with the Bucs that has not watched Flavor of Love on VH1, a show that I loved, by the way, and I watched religiously.
It'd be funny if they thought, what they think he was coming in with a violin or something.
Shout out to Hoops.
Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, coffee drinkers, callers, everybody. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Got Lions and the Raiders. See you tomorrow.
We stand on guard for thee.